All right. Hello, hello, hello. It's the
Yo,
famous
yo,
DJs in the house.
What's going on?
what's happening, world?
What's going on? So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're back at it again today. Happy was it Happy DJ National Day or National DJ Day?
Oh
Today's the
yeah, that's
National
right.
DJ
Yeah,
Day today. Every
National
January
DJ Day.
20th is the day that's designated for the National DJ Day, so that today is that day. So all the DJs out there, happy National DJ Day. Again, we're back at it. We're going to cover a lot of great things again. We have myself, DJ aka DJ Ragtop. We have Chris, DJ Ultimate, and then like Mr. Mike himself, DJ Easy Hutch. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to start with the new stuff, and then we're going to go back and cover some questions. We had quite a few good questions from the last show, so we're going to cover some of those questions from the last show. So let's get into it. Today we're going to start off with our famous places, the venues. So here we go with I said the good things and bad things when it comes to venues. So Hutch, I'm going to start with you. Tell us
Oh
some
boy.
things about the venue. Yeah, I'll tell you. I know Chris got some crazy stories, but some stories I heard about Hutch when he was in ATL. Well, I'm telling
Oh
you,
man,
there's some crazy stuff that goes on. So
man.
give us some rundown on just your experiences first, and then we'll go get into the actual details of the venue.
Well, the first most important thing when with the venue is having a point of contact, somebody who's in charge, preferably the owner, um, and is the least person that you want to communicate with is security. So number one, the owner, manager, and the point of contact, like the event coordinator or the wedding planner, or something close to those positions, because setup time is critical when it comes to what we have to do. And oftentimes I'll go to a venue and they'll only give the DJ a limited amount of time to set up all of our equipment. So we're rushing to set up, but then we also have, in a lot of instances, the it's already decorated. So we got to move other planners, tables and stuff, rearrange stuff to make a path for us to get our equipment in. And oftentimes we might forget to put the chairs back or whatever. But when it's a process. We need to have some clear access to get in and to get out. In loading and out loading. You got to have time. You got to have space. The second thing is, once we load up bring our equipment into the venue, and then our bags and cases and whatnot, we have to have somewhere to put that stuff. Oftentimes, I prefer to put it in my vehicle than to leave it in the venue.
Right.
And the reason why, especially if you're doing something where they cook food there, because roaches will find somewhere to get into your gear. Okay. So preferably you want to put it in your vehicle. So we don't cover that. Then the next thing is, when you're dealing with a venue and they already set up, how do you go about getting in there? You just do the best that you can, because you don't have time to sit there and go back and forth. Well, I need this area and I need that area. Most of the time, oftentimes I tell the client in the consultation, I don't need anything. I don't need a table. I just need
Right.
about 4 feet. 6 feet is good. That's enough room for my facade and my speakers. And my speakers are like bodyguards to keep people not too close to where I'm standing and where I'm operating at. It
Mhm.
creates distance. Then when you are dealing with a venue and they don't give you enough time to set up, you're going to be limited with what you bring in.
Right.
And the clients need to be aware of that, because oftentimes, the wedding event planner or whoever that person might be, a lot of times they have an attitude about a DJ. I don't know why, and you guys know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
It's just something about some of these planners. They just want to make our job as difficult as possible because they've already set up. And then they want to come in and tell you where you need to set up at. And they don't know anything about sound or anything about what I do. I'm not trying to tell you how to set up yours. I appreciate you not trying to tell me how to set up mine. So we got that out the way. Time. If the event's supposed to start at a specific time, I need to be set up at least 30 minutes at the latest, preferably an hour before that start time.
Right.
And then the next question is, what time does everyone need to be out of the venue? Not what time you want it to end. So if somebody booked you from whatever time to 11 o'clock, now 11 o'clock, does that mean you're going to stop the music at 11 o'clock? Or does that mean everybody has to be out of the building, DJ and equipment included? Because if that's the case, you're going to need to cut your timeline short by about at least an hour, depending on how much equipment we have to go in there and set up, especially if you are by yourself. If you don't have someone there to help you, you have a methodical way on how you tear down your stuff. And when you tear it down, I'm not in no rush to get my stuff into my vehicle. I will put everything where I can see it within my reach. And then when I'm ready to put it into my vehicle, one trip, boom, in the vehicle, vehicle's locked. Come back, get the next load, put it in the vehicle, unlock the vehicle, vehicle's locked. I never put anything by the door and have stock everything up by the door to make it easy for me to go and put everything in at one shot. No, sir. Because you set something down by that door, somebody pick it up. You're not going to know. In some cases, you're not going to realize that it's missing until you do your inventory or your recovery phase. So especially like a Pelican case or something like that, I might have a mixer, or I might have my HDMI kit, or my various different things. Somebody picks one of them things up and walks off with it. It's so small that you're not going to be able to see it.
Right.
And you'll miss it. And you'll have a feeling like, man, I know I'm missing something. And you can't figure it out until you go back and you be like, oh, dang. Call the venue. Hey, no, I ain't seen it. Boom, you lost out. So if you're going to move your equipment after you tear down at the venue, tear it down, consolidate it, and then move it into the vehicle. Another important thing, condensation. If you're doing an event in the summertime, it's cold in the air conditioning, and then you going outside in the heat, protect your gear. Put it in a carrying case, and that's a barrier for whatever elements that you're going from one extreme to the next. You done created a barrier. Because once you get condensation in your equipment, it's going to wear out on you, and eventually it's going to short out on you. So that brings me to this point right here. If someone is having a beverage, I don't care what kind of beverage it is, keep it away from my equipment.
Right.
Because all it takes is one drop of liquid to get into one of those channels on your mixer, the party's over with. It's a done deal. And everybody's going to be looking at the DJ like it's your fault. So that's one part. That's to get started. So I'll let you guys go ahead and chime in on that. And I don't want to take up all the time on that aspect, because I can go all night.
So Chris, I'll let you go next. So you give us some rundowns of some pointers about the venue situation.
I mean, he made some very good points. So when clients and vendors are considering venues, like you said, you got to kind of consider, one, the time of year, because of course out here in North Carolina, everybody loves the outdoor ceremonies. So, and then typically we go indoors for the reception. So like you said, if you're going in around the wintertime, you have to have that time for your equipment. If it's cold outside, you can't just go and plug up your equipment and run it because of condensation, right? So you have to allow that equipment to get acclimated to the indoor elements and temperatures. So you can't just, here's an hour set up and then plug and play. No, it has to acclimate, right?
Mhm.
We get a bad rep as prima donnas, right? The DJs, we get a bad rep as being prima donnas because of some of the topics that he just touched on, and that's not the case. It is very hard to maneuver heavy equipment on those carts, on carpet, or on gravel. So that time that we're trying to maneuver MacGyver around that cuts into our setup time. And then when you give us a window, like you said, hey, we're going to have guests here, I want music playing. Well, if you cut down in that window, it's just almost impossible because as we talked on previous episodes, when we have to mic up the officiant, mic up the bride, mic up the groom, test out sound on ceremony, test out sound on reception, test out sound on cocktail, make sure all these setups are good, and now we're MacGyvering, then we need to go change, so we're MacGyvering, maneuvering around all this stuff. It's just cutting down on time.
Mhm.
Like you said, the limited time to exit. So again, when you're taking equipment out, you can't just throw equipment into your trailers or whatever because that becomes a safety risk. Weight distribution in trailers, you have to make sure that you have a proper weight distribution in your trailer. Last thing you want to do is you get home from an hour drive or however long it is, and then you look into your trailer and all your equipment is just spilled over in your trailer, and you can't go do an event tomorrow or next week. Or worst case scenario, that weight it shifts and then you're in a wreck. So that's a lot of times we do take our time trying to get that weight distribution and everything packed correctly, and they're like, are you done yet? Are you it's like, well, let me make sure for safety concerns that my equipment is strapped down, weight distribution is correct. We typically have a good plan of how things need to go on our trailer, but it takes a little bit of coordinating.
Right.
The roast thing, you hit that. I'm glad you said that because I've had that happen, and it was just it was just one thing after the other, and I had to put some stuff underneath my table. Luckily, I had the facade and everything, and it hid everything, but once I shook out all my padding and my covers, roaches and everything was just coming out. So now, not only am I kind of upset that I got roaches and stuff in my bags, now I'm like, am I going to transfer this to another venue? And then if I go to another venue, I got roaches and stuff coming out of my equipment. How professional am I going to look?
You know what? But let me interrupt briefly. The remedy for that is to get you some bombs and put them in the trailer.
That's
Right.
right.
So then that way, when you leave the event,
Right.
after you put everything in there, pop the can and
Grenade!
take it down, and drive on about your business, and then tomorrow, no problems.
Right.
No problems.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Another thing is the parking. I would wish more venues would kind of consider parking, especially if they are able to accommodate 200 to 300 people, because when you are able to do that and they have bigger weddings, of course we have to have the trailer, the trucks, or the van and the trailers. And when we're not able to get our trailers and vans in there to actually to
Get
position it in there close enough, again, that's just more time that we are walking from there to point A to point B to get to the venue. And then for me, honestly, and if I have any venues that are watching, I'm sorry, but I think my biggest pet peeve, and even with coordinators, that kind of just gets under my skin, as soon as they see me finish unloading, and I start to set up, can you move your trailer?
Right.
Can I get my equipment set up so I can put all my cases and everything back on the trailer?
Right.
And because again, I don't like leaving cases and stuff, because if I move my trailer after I unload, once I get all my cases and everything emptied out and I get everything set up, guess what I'm going to have to put right back on the trailer? The empty cases, the empty the padding and all that. So all that's gonna got to go right back on the trailer. So now I'm gonna have to maneuver my trailer and truck right back to where somebody is probably blocking me now.
Yeah.
Right.
I was doing an event, and I was loading out, I was setting up, and some lady, I had my vehicle parked, trailer and vehicle parked on the curb, and I had my ramp down. Some lady went to make a U-turn. She drove a car on my ramp.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, and she drove a car on the ramp. One of the homeless guys, beeline. Hey man, that car right there just drove on your ramp. Hey ma'am, can I have a conversation with you right quick? And we got it straight and everything. But the point of contact for the venue, at the venue, was like, well, I don't know who she is. I said, this is your event. You need to handle this, because if you don't, I'm just going to pack my stuff up, put it back in the trailer, and let's hope that my trailer closes, because that's not going to work out too good. But even if they park, you have your ramp down. I started having to get some cones and put them a certain distance away so that I can actually roll on or roll off of my ramp. Because if somebody parks their vehicle too close, you either got to move your vehicle up, or you got to go find out whose car it is and have them move it.
Oh, right.
And most of the time, they're going to have an attitude, because why do I have to move my car? Why don't you just move your vehicle? And I don't have time to go back and forth.
Right.
But yeah, I apologize. Go ahead, man.
No, that was it.
Well, see, now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna talk like some of the stuff y'all brought up. I found the solution to some of it, not all of it. And what I've learned is, like you said, is like Hutch hit right on the nose. Is you got to have a conversation with the actual venue, not like I said, not just other people. You got like with either the manager or the owner of who's going to be on shift when you come in to do your event, and you need to come up with an actual full plan on how you operate, how you come in, how you're going to do things, and make sure you walk it through. Because like me, what I do when I do a site visit on all venues, if I've never done it before, what I try to do is do a site visit. So with that site visit, it pretty much prevents a lot of bad things from happening when it comes time for us to download and set up. And like for example, if I do a site visit and I see roaches come out and greet me during that site visit, then I know automatically, okay, I'm gonna go out and buy a pack of bombs, which like $8, right, to where as soon as I finish loading my equipment, like throw them in like the grenades to make sure that nothing comes out. Because like if I have to do another event, I want to make sure. Keep in mind, if you're cracking anything in your trailer, it's gonna kill them. It's going to definitely kill them, or kill anything that's in there that is considered an insect.
Right.
So that's one thing when you're doing a site visit. It prevents that. I think the biggest problem we have is it goes back to the level of DJs. A lot of these places are used to DJs coming in and having anything set within 1 hour. So that practice of these, then again, I'm gonna say DJs, not really full DJ entertainers that offer a lot of entertainment services like the uplight and everything and so forth. So they come in and they'll set up, and in most cases, the first thing they ask for is a table. And so most of these venues are getting in like, okay, because they're like and I've noticed that a lot of these venues are not used to DJ entertainers in some of these towns and some of these different places. So they're only used to DJs coming in and being able to set up within 1 hour, because all they have to do is set up their controller, the controller and 2 speakers. So if that's all we had to do, then we all can do it within 1 hour. But if we are coming in as professionals and we're offering a lot more services, then we need more time. I think that's the everybody needs to understand that when you hire a DJ and they're providing a selfie station, photo booth, uplighting, a secondary system for the ceremony, that is more and more time. So if it takes us 1 hour to set up audio, then imagine when we have to set up all this additional equipment.
Right.
And so that's something that, like, again, educating the customer, educating the venues that what we do. Because sometimes when I go to a venue, they've never seen my setup before. They've never seen a setup where we're doing the uplighting and everything and so forth. So we have to break that mold that all DJs can be done within 1 hour. And
Right.
that will solve most of our problems right off the back. So, like,
Yeah.
spacing, that's another thing. Again, we take that regular DJ, all they need is a controller and 2 speakers. You can
Yeah.
put them almost anywhere.
Mhm.
But
Right.
when you have DJs that where we're concerned about our presentation,
Right.
we don't want to just to throw our stuff on the table. We have DJ facades. Most
Yeah.
DJ facades are at least 4 to 6 feet. So when you
Right.
start to put speakers to the left and right, we're talking about a good 8 feet of clearance to make sure nothing interferes. So again, I go back, I put in my contract. I need 8 by 5 feet worth of spacing, because then they see, okay, you're not that DJ that requires table. And I go over it with the venue, because it's not, one of the things I've learned is the customer, the client is not going to understand the language for setup. The venue will.
Right.
Now, in some cases, they might be familiar with some of the stuff we do, but if you take time to explain it to them, they will understand it quicker than the actual customer, the client. But you
Right.
still have to have that conversation with that client as well. So those are things that I found in the past that solves me a lot of problems. And then the time that we show up, I have a habit to where I want to be there as soon as the venue opens up.
Right.
Because if you don't get in there when that
Before
venue
they
opens
play.
up, then you're going to find yourself, every time I don't get there when that venue opens up, you find yourself having to maneuver around the decor or the way the things are decorated, or you're trying to make space where we have to move a couple of tables stuff just for us to make space to get in there. So I'll try to be the first vendor in there, because in most cases, even though I'm there extremely early, it solves most of my headaches and problems in advance. That's why I say it's one of those things to where we have to get in the practice of, like, sometimes we're going to have to, like, do a little bit extra just to avoid problems.
Right.
So doing a site visit, getting there earlier than normal, it solves the problem. Because again, what venues are used to is that DJ coming in at the very last minute to set up. And see, these
and not even having a facade.
Right.
Just using
And that's
venue
one of the biggest
table
things
and a tablecloth.
Yep.
Because, like, most time what happens when we go to a venue, if we don't have a conversation with the venue and we don't have a conversation with the customer, what's the first thing you see when you go to set up?
A table.
A table that's already draped and everything for you. And then you have to move that table to the side. What I normally do is I push it towards the back and I use it to stage or hide my equipment, in some cases, my cases and stuff, or use it as a table so I could utilize to put equipment on it. But most of the time I let them know in advance, no, I don't need a table. I have my own stuff. So and the most common thing is our percentage. Most DJs that are that bring in their own equipment, their own setup, the DJ facades, our percentage is so low that it's ridiculous. You know, like right now they're saying 22% of the DJs in our field are the only ones that come focusing on presentation. The other percent, they say, is over 50% of the DJs come in with a simple setup of just speakers, controllers, and even now we have that $2,000-$3,000 DJ stand. To where, I mean, that's it. That's where they're going. So we're going back in the days where that's all you need, and now we got to the point where we're bringing all this additional equipment. Now they're trying to reduce it back to a smaller setup. And we're getting caught in the middle of that percentage because we're still trying to provide a full show to the clients. So,
and you know something? To add to that, another thing. Excuse me for cutting you off. Another thing is when, and it's become. I'm noticing this a heck of a lot more with uplighting. A lot of venues are not allowing DJs to use uplighting unless it's battery operated.
Right.
And that's something that just started becoming more and more common within the past year.
Well, not only that, they're providing the uplighting.
Right. They're trying to
that too.
market that, like, because like
Yeah.
mostly like for here, what is it? There's only one venue I know here that doesn't
Skyview.
allow uplighting, and it's that Embassy Suites, for example. Because they provide, that's a service that they provide to their customers.
Right.
They won't allow us as DJs to bring in our uplighting.
Which listen, and here's what I don't teach their own, right? I don't knock any venue for providing uplighting, but they can't do what we do with uplighting because we can DMX
static, and that's it.
Right, exactly. So if they want to have the uplighting, that's fine. But to say that a DJ can't bring in the uplighting, to me, I think that's a little bit excessive because, again, like you said, it's just static, or they'll change it to the color and it's just kind of all crazy, where we can actually make it. We can make a show, we can make a scene. We can do right. So we can do customized things with it. So if they say, look, we want these two to turn on, but these two off and these two on, we can do a lot of customization things to it. And, so we can bring that extra element to it to where it's more personalized and it's more of a dramatic show. But one thing I wanted to ask about it. So for me, when I go to venues, I try to split my sound. So I try to go right side, one circuit, left side, one circuit. So if I do by chance blow, like a circuit, right, I don't lose everything. Do you guys run into that issue to where everything is on one circuit? Because I've been finding that more and more.
Problem with it, except for one time, I did an event last year at a vineyard in North Carolina, and they had a stage. It was outdoor. It was at a winery, and they had a stage, and they had a bunch of vendors. And according to the venue, they had required all the vendors to provide their own power. This one vendor didn't do that. And the power that was available for me was one quad box.
Right.
That was it. This vendor had a food truck, and he ran a drop cord probably was about a 50 or 100 foot drop cord. It was a light duty. It was one of them green ones that you use around Christmas.
Right.
And this guy, and I told the venue, I said, make sure nobody else plugs their equipment in here. Oh, ain't nobody gonna do that. It's not gonna happen. So I'm like, okay, cool. The dude that had the the vendor, he had a drop cord, he had a commercial microwave, and two commercial deep fryers plugged into a power strip, and then he had another two power strips plugged into that first power strip, and he had some crock pots and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm playing, and all of a sudden, whoop, my sound goes out. The first thing I do is I look back there, and sure enough, dude done plugged his stuff into that quad box that the venue promised me that he wasn't going to use. And I got about 300 people out there who just lost sound so that this guy could cook some food. So we had a brief conversation. It got a little bit heated. And I was like, well, I can't do anything. I'm done for today.
Right.
Well, what can we do, so to get sound back? I said, I don't know. I tried to tell you guys what was going to happen, and it happened. So now we're there, and there's nothing I can do about it. We need to reset the circuit breaker. Where is the breaker box? So the guy had to call his dad. His dad was on the other side of the venue. He comes up there on a golf cart, and he trips the circuit breaker back. And the guy, the same dude, plugged it back in there again. But here's the thing. He didn't have a 3-prong plug. He only had 2. It was missing the ground pin.
Oh.
So as soon as he plugged it in, boom, it tripped the circuit. And I said, dude, you cannot keep plugging your stuff in here. I'm an electrician. I said, no, you can't be no electrician.
Right.
That's a no-brainer, man. I'm not even trying to hear that. But hey, you got to be mindful of allowing people to just dictate to the DJ what power that you're going to need. If I say I need this, that's what I need. And no, anybody should be plugging anything into, especially like that, the power supply for the DJ. Nobody.
Yep.
And
Because
see, most of the time, what happens, and like I said, what Hutch saying is once we've identified that at that venue, we keep a record of it. Like me, like for example, downtown, the Metropolitan Room. Everybody knows this because everybody DJ out there. If you set a thing on that one wall, you have to let people know. You turn out a microwave on, it shuts down the entire wall for power. So I've learned that like when you put up lighting or if you put too much stuff connected to that wall, when that microwave is turned on, it shuts down that whole circuit. So most of the time, that one circuit is just that one wall. So like most of the time, I learned never to put speakers on that wall, never put anything that's power. So when the lights go out, I know someone turned the microwave on.
Right.
And that's where I've learned that lesson. But like in most cases, like doing a site visit, most venues have a designated location. Most venues have a designated location. Mr. Brad Wood says hello to everybody.
Hey, what's going on?
Let's see here. There we go.
What's up, Brad?
But most venues, and this is one thing that I stress to, is and it's also good if you walk it with the customer. So the customer, like that's why. So when I try to do a site visit, I try to make sure I can get the customer to go. If not, so be it. They can't go with me. But the biggest piece is I always go through and say, okay, where does the DJ/bands normally set up at? Because then they know those locations, those power outlets are strong enough to handle what we do. And what I try to do, and Chris, you always bring up a good point, is I try to make sure my left side and my right side are on two separate plugs, which in some cases they're on a different circuit. Not all times, but sometimes they're on a different circuit. So if one side goes out, the other one does.
Right.
Marcella says, "Hello, everyone. Happy DJ week."
Hey,
what's going on, sis?
So that's that site visit. That site visit is critical because when I can't do a site visit, then I really try to get to the venue earlier the day of because I really want to make sure there's no issues. But that power thing, it ain't no joke because I've had it happen too many times where one thing only one side of my system goes off, and I'm able to catch it.
And I tell you, when I bring my dual JBL sub, I never put my controller on that same circuit. My controller is always on the opposite circuit.
Oh yeah,
that's because if something is on that other circuit with that sub, I'd rather lose the sub, and then I just have tops and my controller. Listen, I'm sorry, when the sub went out, I will get it back in a little bit. But usually, of course, I have JBL tops or QSC tops, so they have a little, they have bass, decent bass. Right. You just don't get that feel of the bass like you would with my JBL dual.
Low end,
right?
That thump, that bang.
Right. Because I
move them drinks off the table.
Yeah, because I definitely been there.
And see, was if you can do a site visit, get there at least an hour ahead of time to check out venue, and that's true. Most time I get there early. I get there real early,
right?
And I think that's where when it comes to venues, like I said, if you've never done the venue before, I mean, what we've learned, and again, we're all prior, me and Hutch are prior military. You're still in the military, but what we do is we got used to where we go out and we do recons before we do our missions, and by us going out and using that terminology or the method of doing things. Is we do site visits, and when we do site visits, that's where we catch all the issues that we're going to run into. The parking issue, we can't take a trailer. There's nowhere to put our equipment in after we get done packing it up. I mean, and then like I say, again, when the roaches come out and greet you, when you do the site visit, you already know, okay, I need to pop a couple of things to take care of the roaches. So site visits, in most cases, will solve your problem. I've always heard DJs got lost the day of and then show up an hour late. And I think that's one of the problems is that a lot of DJs don't understand. Some of the upcoming DJs, not all Like most of them, if we've been in the business for a while, we know better. But a lot of DJs, what they don't do is they don't take time to see, because like my thing is this: if you've never gone to the venue before, how do you know how much equipment to take?
Exactly.
How do you know how your sound's going to sound? If you go in there, it's a high ceiling, then or is that going to change up what type of speakers that you bring?
Yeah.
So those are things that, and then we're like, and with that, I know we're going to get out of the venue here in a minute, and we're going to get into equipment, because those are things that being prepared for venue situations is how you adjust your equipment load. Well, let's see. Marcella says, appreciate the work of all the DJs, because I promise you guys, you are just just as important, if not the most important part of the event that I have. I salute. She put a O, but I know it's an A. I salute you guys. Okay.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
So that's just one of those biggest things about venues. And like I said, I've heard the horror stories. Oh my gosh. I know I've had I know like Hutch, I heard about yours in Atlanta. And I know like Chris, I heard about yours when you came here to Fayetteville.
Right.
And it's just like one of those things that we try to do is we try to learn from our mistakes, or not really our mistakes, but our clients' mistakes in some cases. And we try to fix it. So like me is like, I give presentations. I will not allow my customers to sign a contract without them getting a visual presentation and a sample of what my equipment looks like. You'll be surprised how many clients have no idea what the DJ equipment looks like until the day of.
And
you know
they
what?
have no concept of the logistics either. Go ahead,
right? They have no clue.
And you know what's crazy, and that's crazy because I mean, you go look at Mario's profile on Facebook, Instagram, and you see his setup everywhere.
And I have to explain, because see me, I have to take that extra time to explain to them that okay, I'm a video DJ, so I have to have line of sight.
Right.
Without line of sight, the video portion of what I do is worthless. It means nothing. So what they do is they still put me in the timeout corner, and my corner, my cameras are we looking at someone's back of the head at someone's table in front of us.
Right.
And I think that's one of those things that people have to understand is that it's good to do site visits, and it's good for us to be able to walk it. And even like with Brad, I know Brad, he's a photographer, videographer. It just like me, when I go, and believe it or not, when I go, I'm thinking about the photographer and I'm thinking about the videographer, because I know they're going to have to do. There's a lot of stuff they're going to have to do. That I mean, that I'm gonna make sure I don't get in their way.
Exactly.
I want to make sure they have the space. Normally, what I do is that 8 by 5 feet is also enough space for them to store their bags and what's going on with them.
Exactly.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing, Ryan?
Hey, what's
up, man? Long time no see.
So those are things that people have to understand. It's a team effort, and majority of the time, if there's no coordinator or planner, the next best thing is the DJ.
Yeah,
because we know what the flow is going to be throughout the entire day.
We direct it. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Exactly.
So that's one of those things that we have to understand. Ross said chilling. Let's see. You're welcome, Mario. You rock, DJ Hutch. You rock, and DJ Oliver. I'm sure you do as well, because anyone that comes in contact with DJ Ratop, I know, have good credentials.
Thanks for the kind words, Marcella. Thank you.
But that's something that, again, it's like as DJs, number one rule is you cannot be scared to speak up. And I know a lot of the newer DJs that are coming on the site, coming on the scene, is they're willing, most of the time, they just want to go with the flow.
Right.
Like, what was it? What's the comment? What's the
skull drug real quick.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
That's right. You get skull drug quick.
You got to speak up. You got to say, well, hey, speakers, so forth. And then like I said, that's something that as DJs, we have to stand up, because what we're fighting against is the norm, where everyone thinks the norm is the DJ shows up with a controller, 2 speakers, and only need a table space, like 4 feet worth of space. And that's that's technically that is the norm, because the percentages does show that. And that
Yeah.
it shocked me when I did the research and I found out. I think it was like 62% of the DJs only use a table to
Man,
do
them daggone tables, your back be killing you by the time you get finished playing 30 minutes with them little small short tables. Give me 36 inches of height and we could do some damage.
right.
Right.
So that's why we're fighting. Like the number game is we're fighting within our own industry, because in our industry, and it's not really a fight. It's just it's a more of a preference. Is that
Mhm.
most DJs are only using like 4 to 6 foot tables. In some cases, are 8 foot tables, because some of them have a lot more equipment. Like
Equipment, right.
if they're using like the turntables and mixers, stuff like that, then they're looking for an 8 foot table. But it's again, it goes back to where they're just using a table,
Right.
a controller, mixer, and speak. I mean, that's all they need. So that's one of the things that we have to educate the venues. We have to, and that's why I'll go the extra mile to, hey, you know what?
Mhm.
Even if I can't make it, I'm gonna send you email. Here's pictures of my setup. This is what I do.
Mhm.
This is how much space I need. And so when they come up and then, like I said, that coordinator, which most of the time I'm gonna say when there's a coordinator involved, most of the time it's the coordinator that causes a lot of the problems.
Right.
He says 8 foot tables. Oh yeah. Most of the time, believe it or not, and this is one of the things I've seen, a lot of your old school radio DJs need like an 8 foot table because of all the stuff that they bring.
When I used to do the crates, I had them 8-foot tables. I
Right.
still got 2 or 3 of them, you know?
So
Yeah.
that's what I say is that it's not, to this day, you'll still see that. You'll see, the thing is, if they're still using the amps, you'll see the amps on the table. They're not trying to hide it. They're not into the presentation. So they'll see those amps and all those cables and wires all over the place. So like a lot of us are more getting into the presentational piece to where we're trying to hide that. But that's
But
one of the things that we're fighting is we have to get everyone to understand is that regular DJ that normally can come in and set up within 1 hour is not the norm. There's all of us. There's some of us that come in with a better presentation and the right equipment to do things.
Right. I'm gonna share something with you guys since we're talking about venues, right? It's also getting to the point now where venues won't even allow you to use gaffer tape.
Yes.
No kind of tape.
Yes.
And
it's because of the cheap floors. It's I hate to say it, but it is because of the type of like finish that they're using on the floor is that crazy finish that when you go to pill it, you're peeling up that layer that they use for the floor.
But you know what I do? How I beat that? Alien tape, the double back tape, that clear tape. And you just get some, wrap it around, not around the whole cable, but just on a part of the cable, just enough, and tack it down to the wall. Problem solved. You pull it up, they don't visibly see no tape, and unless they come over there and pull on it, hey, what are you doing pulling on my speakers, my cables? Okay, but you know, I use it a lot, and I turn it on to venues. There, where you get this from? Walmart. $19 a box. You get 3 rolls. Them 3 rolls will last you a good while.
A long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that I've learned. Like I said, one venue I went and I actually put down a guard tape on it. And when I went to go peel it up, I was like, oh my gosh. I said, I messed up the floor. And so I immediately let them know. And they said, oh, that don't worry. The guy that did the floor, he shammed us out of again, the floor person that did the floor for them got them for it. So I was like, okay, you know what? I understand. And they understood, so they weren't worried about it. But it's like I immediately let them know because I felt terrible that it came up, because technically that's why you're paying all that money for that tape.
Exactly.
Is because it's not supposed to mess the floor up.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But you're right that a lot of places
Alien
kind
tape.
of alien tape?
Yeah, I got some. Let me I'm gonna show it to you right quick.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
I think I know what you're talking about, because that's the type of stuff that the military where we have to use overseas if we want to hang anything on the walls and stuff like that. Ooh, that's a good question.
What was the question?
The question is, okay, Brad asked what type of tape, but Marcella asked, I already know the answer to this question. Ooh-wee.
This is
Okay.
alien tape.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. You get 3
All right.
rolls, come in a box, $19, Walmart.
Okay, I've never seen that kind of tape before. Okay.
Yeah. It's double back. So when you peel it, you just cut a section of it, and it's double. It's on both sides.
Oh, double-sided tape. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
It's on both sides. This side right here is the plastic, and you peel that off and put it on the surface.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay. So if I put this on my pen, let's say this pen is a cable, and I just put a little bit on the pen, on the cable, and just stick it to where I want it to stay.
Gotcha.
And then when you're ready to move it, to take it off, it just peels right off. It doesn't stick. It's real sticky, but it does not stick.
Right.
Gotcha.
So you can still handle it, with your bare hands or whatever, and it's good to go. And this plastic here is to keep it from sticking to like your bag or something like that you're carrying. And just peel that off, get the section that you need. You don't need a whole lot.
Right.
About good 6 inches, man, to take care of a good 20-foot, 50-foot wall.
Gotcha.
Alien tape.
So you see that, Brad? Okay, you got an alien tape. Marcella just asked a great question. I know Hutch, we already know the answer to this one. I know because we both have this one venue. I know 2 venues right off the top of my head when I saw this.
I know what she's talking about too.
See, I know Chris, you probably haven't got exposed to these venues yet, but the question she asked is, I have a question for all DJs. If a venue have a bad reputation and someone hire you to DJ for them without knowing where the venue is, will you still take the job? No. Right off the back, I have a warning label. I know, like with me, I go to the extreme to let people know there's 2 venues I will not set foot in. I will not provide services to, because as soon as you walk in, you're doomed to fail.
Yeah.
So I just don't do it. Now, Chris, have you see me and Hud? We already know. We're not gonna say the venue, but we already know.
Listen. I know what you're talking about, because we talked about this before.
Ron said, "Hell, heck no."
Ron know where it is too. You right, Marcella.
Well, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd have to be very, 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 very slow. To be honest with you, that's just me being honest. I mean, if I'm not, when I say very slow, I mean I'd have to probably not had an event for 6 months, 8 months, and then, I maybe just need some income. But if I know if it's going to cause me more headache, I'm not going to do it. Right. I mean, it's just not worth it.
Well, this one particular venue.
No, I know exactly.
I can almost guarantee you 117% you are going to experience some problems.
Yeah. Listen, I haven't DJ'd there, and I already know what you're talking about.
Oh, look, Ross said, "Been there, done that."
Oh yeah.
But see, most of the time when venue, and see, this is one of the things as a DJ, and see, Marcella just said, okay. But see, one of the things that before we put a no service on a venue or a vendor, they have to show a pattern of misleading customers, of misleading vendors, not doing what it's supposed to do for the team to be successful. One of the biggest things across the board is we have to work together as a team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you got one person that's not a team player, venue or vendor,
right,
it doesn't matter what you do if we already know it's going to fail. And so when a customer fails and when something goes bad, that bad taste is in our mouth already. So it's almost impossible. Some cases it's possible, but some cases it's impossible when you have to fix it. Like, for example, a venue messes up. That's hard to come back with. The venue mess up and we get in there and we're setting up and the guests are coming in just because the venue opened up late,
Mm-hmm.
that makes us all look bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that particular venue, that's happened numerous times
Right.
where they showed up late and we're setting up, or they double booked the venue or event so close together. By the time the other event gets out, we just have barely enough time to set up.
Yeah.
So that's another thing you have to look into, take into consideration is you have these venues, and sometimes it's the hotels, but there are some venues directly that they'll book more than one events at one time, like within one day.
The Embassy
And
Suites does that a lot too.
Embassy Suite does it quite a bit, and that's the reason
Yeah.
why most time I won't really do a lot of events at Embassy Suites, is because
Same here.
they'll book event, and then within 2 hours have another event come in.
Right.
And then like for us DJs, we barely have enough time to get in it. I mean, you barely even get an hour.
So,
to get in
right.
there.
So you know what? I've actually ran into that at a different venue, and that actually had me incorporate in my contract that if it is out of my control and it's a venue that has caused a delay, I do not rush, and the client cannot hold me responsible because you know I have a bad knee, and I'm not going to blow my knee out trying to rush. So if I can't get into the venue and then you got 30 minutes to your event start, and it takes me an hour to get, an hour 30 minutes to get everything set up, then if I don't get in there to 30 minutes, well, guess what? You finna wait, and I'm gonna get it set up. Now, granted, I'm not gonna go at a snail's pace. I'm gonna do everything in my power safely to make it happen. Because again, if I can get it and make it happen, guess who's gonna look like the hero? Of course, right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do it safely. Now, if we're 15 minutes behind, 20 minutes behind, then you're gonna have to take that up with the venue.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I don't stress over that aspect of it. And then if they come to me, I'm gonna say refer to your contract.
And I believe that's the problem across the board. Is like when I sit down, like I will never forget, I did a last minute family reunion for this family, and it was at a venue downtown. So I already know right off the back. I already know I'm already working I'm going to need time just to download the equipment, because downtown, everyone knows, it's impossible to get into venues downtown because of the parking. So right off the back, I'm telling them, okay, I need 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all we're going to pay, because they were doing an hourly rate, and they didn't want to pay for that extra hour. Well, what we'll do, and see, this is the problem, is they think for some reason that you're going to move faster. Well, what we'll do is, we'll go ahead and we'll let you get in there, and we'll just wait for you to get set up before we start. And
boy.
I already know that's a setup. I'm telling you now, for all the DJs out there, that is a setup. That is setting you up for failure. The customer is setting you. They're going to put a spotlight on you in a heartbeat, because the first thing they're going to do is, once everybody starts to get there, is your mic ready?
Yeah.
And you still see me setting up speakers and stuff, but they're going to come up. Is your mic ready?
How long is it going to take you?
How long is it going to take? We already had this conversation. It takes me 2 hours. So if you only gave me 1 hour, that means, guess what? I'm going to eat up 1 hour of your time during the time of your event. So when a DJ tells you that, hey, I need 2 hours, that's not a maybe. That's not a possibility. There's not I'm going to put a cape on my back and I'm going to move faster like the Flash. No, that's 2 hours. So DJs, I tell you, look, I mean, y'all need to stick hardcore on your time. Do not shortchange yourself, because in the end, you're going to look like the bad guy or the bad girl.
Here's another thing. Since we're on the venues, right? Sometimes a client will want to use your services and start nickel and diming you, saying that the venue said that we can use their sound system. I ain't going that route. I will never go that route. Been there, done that. Because what happened to me, not once but several times, is that the venue tried to say that I damaged their equipment.
Right.
But you have multiple DJs playing in that event, and you don't have the sound system where you can't get to it, like locked up.
Right.
Like the VFW in Fayetteville is like that. But the speakers were blown.
Right.
And then the next day I get a phone call and say, hey, you blew my speakers. I didn't blow anything. I didn't even use your system. But didn't you plug into something? No, I did not. Well, one of my customers, your customer's lying. So,
Oh, Marcel said, okay.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you put that up there because I'm gonna parlay into that. So this thing that Marcella just put up is a perfect example. And Mario, you touched on it as well. Whereas the venue has their own sound system, and this particular venue like to always try to make his sound system louder than the DJs. I'm not into no competition with nobody because that's neither here nor there. I'm not a competition. I don't go that route, and I don't play those petty games either. So when I got to this particular venue that Marcella's talking about, it was for a wedding. I got there about 3-4 hours before the reception was supposed to start. The ceremony was at the botanical gardens. I'm sitting up there in the loading dock waiting for somebody to open the door because when I pulled into the parking lot, there are no cars. I know the building's empty. I'm sitting there about 2 or 3 hours. I'm calling this dude. He's not answering his phone. Then out of the blue, poof, I had a train horn. That's when I had the Hummer. I had a train horn. I blew the horn, blew the air out the horn. If anybody was in that building, they would have heard that horn. Nobody came out. Nobody was there. So I'm sitting there now. It's about an hour before I'm supposed to start playing. And here comes the owner walking out with a bag of trash going to the dumpster. Man, why ain't you call me? I said, dude, I called you. I said, no, we ain't going there. I ain't got time to go back and forth with you. I need to get in and get set up. I get in there to start setting up. I got to move everything out of my way. I got to create a path to get my equipment in. So now I'm bringing equipment in. The guests are starting to pull into the parking lot. I'm like, oh, damn. This ain't going to be good. The owner comes up. How long is it going to be before you get finished, man? 'Cause I'm about to start letting the people. I said, don't do that. I said, because when they hear that music, they're going to think that I'm in here, and that's not good. He pretty much said, F you. He turned his sound system on. He opened the doors, and the guests started coming in. So now I got a venue full of guests. I'm in shorts. It's in the summertime. I'm in shorts, sweat like a runaway slave. I'm pissed to the highest of festivity, but I had to remain professional.
Right.
So then the guests, the client, the bride and the groom came. They're sitting out in the parking lot. And somebody say, hey, the bride and groom is out there. I ain't even finished setting up yet. And then he like lets them in. So I had in the middle of me setting up, I'm like, I had to go talk to the bride and groom. I say, look, I'm not even finished setting up yet. So they're mad at me. But then once I explained to them what was going on, then they saw what was really up. And then it started snowballing from there. And that is
Yep, you're right. Yep, he had the same
that
thing.
was a nightmare, man. And so I started out playing their first dance in shorts. I had to change in the bathroom with a venue full of guests and the bride and the groom sitting at the table listening to some music that I'm not playing because I'm not finished setting up. That's one time. And there's more, but I ain't gonna go no more with that right there. But man.
Yeah. Okay, Marcella. Okay, she's taking all the clothes out of the closet. Okay.
That's right.
Oh,
Now,
man.
that 50th birthday party that Marcella and her husband came to, he was playing his sound system and I was using the TVs because I was doing videos. One of the TVs was black and white and the other one was color. And they were the old smart. I mean, they didn't have HDMI.
They sure did. Yeah,
So
you're absolutely right. They didn't have HDMI. You're right.
right. So I'm set up, and then the bartender had to leave. They shut the bar down like about an hour after they opened it up. I mean, it was terrible. And this was this lady's 50th birthday party. And I think she was Marcella's classmate, if I'm not mistaken. And she was mad. She was ready to fight the dude. And I had told her before she hired me. When she hired me, I told her what was going to happen. And she just shook her head and she was like, Hutch, you told me. I said, that's how this dude is. But yeah, it was embarrassing for me because those people that didn't know me looked at me like I was all jacked up. But people that knew me, like Marcella and her husband and some other people, knew that ain't how Hutch roll. And Hutch don't roll like that. Dude threw me under the bus and about 6 feet under. And that's a venue that always has a chip on their shoulder about something.
Right.
And they always gyp the client because the same venue, I would see him in Sam's Club buying a vegetable platter or whatever and charge the client $150, $100+ for a $20 platter. I'm like, dude, yeah, man, I got another event. He's just as shicey as you can be, man. But nah, it's bad.
And see, me, I got so many horror stories about that place. That's why I'm not even gonna go into it because like your example was like it's the same. It's the exact same.
Because I had told you about it before it happened to you.
Right.
Remember?
See, that's what with me, when it happened to me, I actually would have wanted to refer the venue to the customer. And it was a 50th birthday party. And what happened was he had booked a church event prior, and everybody knows church events always run late. That's a given. I mean, I don't care if it's a black church event, they're going to be late. I mean, they're always late getting it out. So they were late, and we didn't have enough time to set up. So myself, the caterer, everybody, we're all setting up as the guests were coming in. And it's all look bad. And that, at first I'll say, okay, I kind of let that one go. And then it happened again. And then, but this time, almost got into a fight with the groom. He did, the owner of the venue, almost got into a fight with the groom, and also almost got into a fight with the wedding decorator. Same story here. So it's like that's what I'm saying. We all know the bad venues. I'm the only one that kind of like puts it out there big as day on my website. That cautious, I will not perform at these locations because it's not that I didn't give them chances and opportunities to do it. It's just like after so many times of failures, it's like it's hard. Like when you're the one setting up, it's hard to point the finger at the venue.
Right. Now I had referred this venue to for a comedy show, and it was the headline comedian who I know did a contract with him, an individual contract separate from my contract with my client, and the owner of the venue changed the terms of the contract. He just put his initials on there, like you signed for somebody. He just put his initials on there and changed it and lined it out and changed what he wanted. And he was supposed to provide a hotel for this comedian, and he changed it. He said, "No, I'm not going to provide the hotel." So, hey man, I'm talking to the comedian, and he's telling me what's going on, and he told me he wasn't coming. I said, "Hey, that's between you two. I don't have nothing to do with that." And he didn't show up. So the owner's like, "Hey man, where's such and such?" I said, "I don't know. You did a contract with him, man. I don't know." And you don't do stuff like that, and you're supposed to be a professional. And like Mario said, venues like that, nah, I'll turn down a $5,000 gig before I go up in there with my equipment.
Yeah,
and that's what customers don't understand it, because the customer, all they want is they know that they didn't have to pay that much for that venue, so they know it's a great deal to them. They just want to get in there and have a good time. But in reality, we already know that in most cases, we're going to be set up for failure. And that's a reputation that as it's hard. Like I said, when you build up a good reputation, it only takes one time to mess up your reputation. And then if you don't go in and you don't go crazy and act crazy on social media to explain it wasn't your fault, most time you're labeled that individual.
Right.
Yeah. And the same thing goes with clients too. Yeah, that's right. But
So
man, yeah. Go ahead.
But I think we beat up on venues enough where Marcella, she was like going off like a machine gun. I'm like, okay,
she remembers. She probably remembers better than I do.
Yeah, a lot of times I'm telling you, when you have a bad experience, you remember those before.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you'll remember good experience, but a bad experience will stay in your memory because it's easy to remember bad experiences.
Yep.
That's right.
You always have great experiences, and there's always that one that always stays in your mind.
Yeah.
But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and the questions that were asked from our last show. I'm going to cover some of the questions that were asked from the last show. And the first question that was asked after the show was over was in reference to music. And we're going to cover that one. It is like in reference to music, what's the difference between downloading music off of YouTube versus record pools? And I know I kind of did answer it. I went online, I did answer the question there, but I just wanted to go back and kind of like the license piece of it, the license and the quality. Like one of the biggest things that we stressed, like when we talked about a little bit during the show, and we talked about the quality of the music. The biggest thing about record pools is more so about the quality and the varieties. That's something that people have to understand is that the only ones that really pay attention to that are DJs. Now, if you're one of these DJs that are going out there and you're using YouTube as your primary source for music, beware.
Yeah.
Because we all have experience where you get that extra little message on a YouTube video or song. So you be like, the song be going in, then by the way, don't forget to purchase more stuff from Walmart. You have an advertisement on there.
Flying Quantum Airlines.
Yeah. So it's kind of like one of the things to where when you go to a record pool, what you're paying for is you're paying for better quality and a variety. Like you go to a record pool, there's going to be 6 different versions of that one song. There's going to be the clean version. There's going to be the dirty version. There's going to be the remix. There's going to be the short version. There's going to be the instrumental. There's going to be
quick extension. Yep.
Ron says, "You're not a DJ."
Yeah.
But I mean, but it's just
hey, that's what you do with that horn.
But that's just one of those things. I mean, and don't get me wrong, because some people start off with the YouTube thing.
Right.
Some DJs start off that route. So they don't know what right looks like. But that was I thought was a good question, because a lot of time we as DJs, we don't require a license. And the reason why we don't require a license is because in most cases, the venue that provides the entertainment is required to have those licenses that they're looking for. We as DJs, by us having a connection to record pool, to a degree, we're paying to license to play that music. It's not can a DJ get away with just using YouTube? They can, but you can tell the quality. You can hear the quality in the music. And then, God forbids, if a commercial comes on at the time you're DJing, or if your commercial comes on and you're at a wedding ceremony, and then at the end of that song where the bride gets up to the top, and then a commercial comes on, purchase more stuff from Sesame Street, or something crazy. So that's just something that
a freaking Viagra commercial.
Right. So you gotta be careful when it comes to music license. Chris, what was you gonna say?
I was gonna say not only that, but even when you go to your record pools, you get those special edits by your producers and stuff, or your other DJs that you can't find on YouTube's, right? So that's one advantage of having a record pool, is you get those custom edits. Also, too, now that Stems is a era now. Virtual DJ has had stems for decades. So not say decades, but a couple of years now. But now Serato has finally caught up.
Right.
Try to do stems with a YouTube track. It's not going to happen.
Right.
I promise you, it's not going to happen. So you have to have a track from a record pool to do stems.
A bona fide record pool.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Now, in terms of the record pools, is another thing that with a record pool, you're getting, like you said, Mario, you're getting quality, but you're also building a rapport with the record industry. Mm-hmm. So a lot of record pools will get some exclusives that you're not going to get on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And Ron will tell you this, and some of the other DJs, you guys as well, that ever dealt with vinyl would know this. I got thousands of 12-inch edits and all kind of stuff in storage from the record pool that I was involved in. And eventually I ended up becoming DJ of the year in Triangle Record Pool in Raleigh, North Carolina. And the music that we were getting in that record pool, you can't find hardly any of it on YouTube. Right. So when I'm playing and I'm still converting every now and then, I'll play something and somebody be like, man, where you get that song from? I ain't never heard that before. Because radio station DJs used to actually like hound us guys that were in these record pools because the radio stations couldn't get it either. Because the radio stations are owned by corporations, whereas a record pool, it services those corporations too. But the DJs are specifically targeted to break new music.
Right.
Now TikTok and YouTube are breaking new music, but they're not breaking the music that people need. They are breaking music that is trendy. Mm-hmm. Artists will come out, like 25 Chains will come out today, and you do an event tomorrow, and somebody like, hey man, you got 25 Chains? Well, he got a new one out, man. It's 50 Chains. Okay. But you're only going to find it on YouTube. And like you said, the sound quality ain't happening.
Right.
So the software aspect that we talked about earlier, that's why it's necessary to have these different types of softwares so that you can enhance and clean up some of that garbage that's out there, because it's a lot of garbage. You play the wrong song, like when Cat Daddy first came out, when that bad boy dropped, I blew a dude's speaker. I was playing the Virginian, and I blew one of his subs because he had some cheap speakers. And when that low end hit, that was it. He's like, man, what happened to the bass? It's gone.
Eddie out. Eddie out.
It went south. But
and I think
a YouTube song wouldn't do that. Go ahead.
Right. And I think that's what, like, and then what you said is perfect for all the DJs that were around when records were out. Most of the time, you didn't hear the music until the DJ played it back in the days. Now it's the opposite, because like before, record pools were getting music before you even got it on the radio.
2 or 3 months before it even hit the market.
Right. Yep. So now you're getting more music on YouTube before, like, the record pools are trying to catch up. Like that song Player. The different versions of Player, there's so many versions on YouTube that the record pool is just now catching up with. That song had been out like 3 or 4 weeks on YouTube before it even hit the record pools. Mm-hmm. And so then the thing is, like I said, clean versions, record pools, you're gonna get almost everything out there is clean. You can get a clean version. You can't get that on YouTube. It might say it's clean, but it in most cases it's not clean.
Yep.
So like that Nicki Minaj Super Freak.
Right. Oh yeah, this you have to get the super clean version in order to do that one.
Yep.
Right.
I got a few things to see here. Marcella asked a question, and the question was, questions for everyone. Do you guys have a playlist, or do you play based on crowd age, or how many people are on the dance floor? And then I saw what Ron said, and I'm gonna share that. He says never have a playlist. Now I want the terminology, and I think what it is, I'm going to translate this because the difference is we have most DJs we have crates,
Mhm.
and in
Right.
those crates, and again, it goes back to the software that you use. Most of the time, it lets you know how many times you played that song. It kind of like just like back in the day when we had crates, we will put all the records that we want in one crate that we know we're going to play the most of, and then we'll have a secondary and third crate. And most of the time, we will know which way to go for. So you don't really have a playlist,
Right.
but you'll have a group of music in one location to easily get to it.
Right.
Now, a
Mhm.
playlist, when you use the word playlist, a playlist is something that is set in stone and that's designated to play from beginning to the end. But when you use a crate, it's a variety of music that we can choose from that we can play at random. So the terminology playlists and crates, most of us again it depends on what software you use. There are crates. Then of course there is a playlist, but most of the time that playlist you can play the songs at random. So it
Right.
really depends on the software. Because like playlists, because some software it is called playlist, but in most cases it's a crate.
So I think to answer her question, so like when I go to a wedding, right? I have, like you said, a crate. So this crate is so for reception, I have my bangers. It's a banger crate, right? Because over my time of weddings, I know these have been proven bangers that I know the crowd is gonna get on, and that's what they're gonna, get the crowd jumping and going, right? But at the same time, I look at my demographics and we put out fillers throughout the night. So I look at age, I look at everything. I don't really take race because you can't really take race because,
Right.
race doesn't really take a play into music anymore. So I just look at age and I just kind of put out fillers, right? So I put out fillers during a dinner. So I'm seeing what people are vibing to, what's getting them dancing at the table. And then we kind of start putting out those fillers. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go this way. So it might maybe not correlate with my banger crate that might have worked for wedding A on last week. So I might have to go to my country banger folder, or I might have to go to my pop banger folder, or I might have to go to my hip hop banger folder. So you know, I guess it's, like I said, you have crates, which you can consider a playlist if you want, but it's just a group of music, that you have tried and tested that are bangers and get people up and dancing. But you do put out fillers and you kind of read the crowd to see what gets them moving and dancing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what
Now,
people have to understand is that because a lot of
Mhm.
DJs are offended reading the crowd, right? Absolutely. Reading the crowd. A lot of DJs are offended when you use the word playlist. And that's just a terminology because as DJs, we understand that playlist. When we hear a customer say playlist, in our minds, we're thinking, okay, they're just going to give us a group of music for us to be able to play from. It doesn't mean that we're going to play it exactly how. Now, some customers you have to get clarification on it because some customers like they want you to play exactly how they give it to you.
I was gonna say, yeah, I've been there.
And sometimes you
Man,
have to bring down and you have to educate them and explain to them that hey, you want me to play the chicken song with the banana song? Okay, the BPM for the chicken song is 134, but that banana song might be a 101. That ain't gonna go too good together. So we have to maneuver the music to where it has a nice flow to it. And you have to sometimes you have to explain because there are some hardcore people out there that think they like what Ron was saying earlier, like everybody's a DJ, and they think they know music, and we're the ones that like people looking at us crazy, like, dude, did you just play the banana song with the chicken song? And we're like at this point in time, that's when we go to the bathroom or we go get something to drink, or like what Hutch would do is he's like, okay, this is a special request from such and such, just to point out it has nothing to do with him as a DJ.
Right.
So
create that separation quick.
and so that's
Hell
what
to the no.
so sometimes, believe it or not, that has to be defined. That the educational portion of it, you really have to define that because you just don't know when a person says playlist, we're thinking crate in our mind,
Right.
but to them, they're saying they want you to play it exactly like that. So we have to break it down.
And I
But-
found because go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so what I found that I've actually had to have that same conversation with clients because they'll send me, I do the do not play if possible, must play, I do all that, right? But in my head, as a DJ, I'm like, let me put my creativity in it because that's why you hired me as a professional.
Right.
Is you want me to get your crowd dancing, but your must play. I'm going to play your must play at some point in the night. So I'm going to play it when I see fit to play it, when it fits into the program. But as I see your crowd, so if I feel like this song fits right then and I know your crowd's going to dance to it, I'm going to play it. Well, some clients don't want you to deviate from that. And I've had dirty looks because I'm playing something that's not on their must play or play it possible, but everybody on the dance floor is dancing. I mean, you hear that, and you're like, yo, yeah, I got them. But your client is like, I didn't tell you to play that. I don't want you to play that. Why are you playing that? And I'm just
because you have some
I find in most cases
you got some selfish customers out there to where they only want to hear their music. And see, my biggest thing is the transition from. We all know how when you do a wedding, you have your older crowd that you try to entertain first because they're going to be the first ones to leave.
Exactly.
So you kind of play some stuff that's popular that everybody can relate to, and then you make that smooth transition to the ratchet music.
Right.
Most of the time, you'll have that bride that breaks the glass, ratchet music now. And once they break that glass, you already know, okay, I'm going home early because as soon as I start playing this ratchet music, it's going to clear the dance floor.
Yeah. Yep. And once you clear the floor,
it's a done deal. It's a wrap. And so that's why I said when they break the glass and they decide to pull that ratchet alarm, it shuts down the events. And that's where most of the time when the customer does that, I have no sympathy for them whatsoever because you just override my expertise of what I do because you wanted to hear what you wanted to hear. And I remember, I will never forget, I had one situation where the bride was like, I don't care, I want to hear my ratchet music. As soon as I played the ratchet music, everybody looked at me like I don't care. Everybody was on the dance floor. As soon as I played that ratchet music, first thing is everyone knows ratchet music is about like 70 to 80 beats per minute. And oh my gosh, now I want to go hurt somebody. I want to go kill somebody. I want to go sit in the corner and talk crazy.
Listen.
Okay, thank you.
You're right. Listen,
for an easy night.
That's what I was gonna say. I had 3 hours left on the wedding, and I kept telling them to push it off, because I had everybody on the dance floor, and they kept coming. They said, "Play Gorilla, let's go."
That's a quick killer. That's a quick killer.
I said, I'm like, you got all these older people on the dance floor. Not right now. I said, I know you want to get going, like, and it was only like maybe 15 younger people. And I said, look at your dance floor. The coordinator kept coming up. Well, just change. I'm like, can I do my job? And I after the 5th, 6th time, and then the groom came up. I said, okay. I did a backspin. I hit that Gorilla. Dance floor cleared out. I played maybe 6 or 7.
Somebody passed gas on the dance floor.
I played another 6 or 7 ratchet songs, and they said, "Yeah, go ahead and do the last dance. We're gonna go home." Okay.
And that's what the people don't understand is that as DJs, and I want to break this portion of it down. The majority of the time, the people that show up for the weddings is an older crowd.
Yeah.
It's only maybe 15% of the crowd is going to be the young crowd that's going to want to hear that ratchet music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go and you play the ratchet music, which I'm gonna say this, you can't dance to ratchet music. You can walk, throw your hands up, act like you just going crazy.
2 minutes of for about 2 damn minutes before you even get to the first break beat. And then
that's one. And my thing is, like, people have to understand that you have to understand your setting. Your weddings, when you invite people to weddings, nobody wants to hear that.
That's
It might
one
be
of the
that,
most
it might
formal
be that
events you will
10,
do outside
the
of a
10,
military ball.
right. It's just like the 10 and 12, just like military ball. Military balls, I mean, as soon as they get drunk, they're gonna dance to anything you play. Because most time
Yeah, that's
military,
true. Yeah.
that's just how it is for military balls. Is alcohol
yeah.
gets involved, it doesn't matter. We're gonna do, but weddings is a little bit more reserved. So when I get couples and they're the young ones, well, and then sometimes even the older ones. Well, our grandson said that this was one of the popular songs. Okay, we'll play it, and we sit back and watch the whole floor clear out, and
Yeah.
and then Hutch. I mean, it's kind of like there's some weddings that you can play the ratchet music the entire time, and they're okay with it. But that's the setting, is they have the majority of the crowd is that crowd that listens to that music.
Right.
So that's a whole different ball game.
Right. Correct.
Versus when you go into a wedding and you got Aunt Betsy Lou, Uncle Junebug, and they want to hear that
That brown liquor music.
right.
Give me
They
some
wanna hear
hole in the wall.
that hole in the
I want
wall.
my
They
credit
wanna
card.
hear
What?
Before I Let Go. They want to hear Joy and Pain. They want to hear It Takes Two. They want to hear that 90s, 80s, 70s. And so it's kind of like, and then in some cases, even the early 2000s. So we have to balance that out. But when you see it, if the DJ has a full dance floor, he or she is doing their job. When you, as an individual customer, decide that you don't want to see people on the dance floor and you want that ratchet song played,
you just crashed your own party.
You just crush your own party. And one of the things I stress to people is once you clear the dance floor, it's hard to get people back up. If there's a difference to where it's like they clear the dance floor because they're tired of dancing versus that we have no idea what the DJ is playing, so we're gonna go sit down.
Exactly.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't let a wedding coordinator hold my mic, because they'll sit, it seems like they'll sit there and like a magnet wait for you to get some people on the floor. Okay, we're gonna go stop the song, we're gonna go ahead and cut the cake next. I said, okay.
That's why you
understand this when I put them in check. You do your job, I'll do mine. Now let me play one or two more songs, and then I'll bring the volume down and make it a smooth transition. But when you just abruptly just do this and do that, you got to let me know what you're going to do before. Don't come up to me while I'm in the middle of a song and I got a floor full of people talking about you want to do the bouquet and the garter toss. Nah, we just got them out here. They've been sitting down all damn day. Their butts hurt. The women's feet hurt because I'm wearing them tight shoes. I mean, they just uncomfortable. They want to get loose. Let them get loose. And then you have their attention. And then if they come up and say, okay, well, the photographer wants to get this shot right here because he's got to go somewhere else, fine. Because when you go through all that, when they shoot their wad, then the guests start onesies and twosies on out. And then the bride and groom looking at you like, why everybody leaving? They're not interested anymore.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that I stress to my brides and grooms in the planning process is you don't want the yo-yo effect. I stress that in all my events. And like, especially when you got those events, they want to do door prizes. I have no idea what's so damn important about door prizes, but it's like one of those things that it aggravates me because I will never forget. I had one event, and y'all know how it is. You get into you got everybody on the dance floor. Everybody's like, look at
DJ,
that
zone, man.
Thumbs up in a zone, and okay, we're gonna do a door prize. What? And so you get on, then you give them the mic. They want to talk about door prizes. They want to tell one of their stale little jokes. They want to be the star of the show now because now you got everybody's attention because broke up the whole dance floor. And then
you give them the mic, and they like, is the mic on?
Yeah, right. And then, so then you're getting even more mad about the situation because, like, okay, dude, you just ruined a good thing. So then here it is again. Okay, door prize is all said and done, and so now you got to come strong now to get everybody back on the dance floor. So you go through your little crate. Okay, bam, this has got to be the one, and you hit it, and everybody gets back on the dance floor, and they're jamming good 15, 20 minutes. Oh, we got another door prize. It's like I try to explain to my customers that it's critical that we do not do the yo-yo effect. Especially, see, weddings, see, some events, okay, the door prize thing, that's one thing, but for weddings, it can be controlled.
Mhm.
I always tell them, do all your formal stuff first, because the formal portion of the reception, the focus is on the bride and groom.
Right.
The first dance, the throwing of the bouquet, the regatta removal. Do all that stuff first. Get that out the way, and then let's go right into the dancing, which is the informal portion, because then the informal portion, the focus is not on the bride and groom.
Right.
All the focus is done. So the formal portion is focused on the bride and groom. The informal is everybody having a good time. So there shouldn't be any interruptions. So that means
Right.
that's a solid time to dancing. But you'll get that one old school planner that just is going to fight you to the death just to where they want to do the yo-yo effect. Because they, for some reason, they feel so powerful when they take that mic and break up the dance floor.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about people.
It's their ego. It's their ego.
It
Simply ego.
drives me crazy.
I say that, and that, you know, so I dealt with that so much, and this is what Marcella was saying about the your crates. So I've created several sub crates under my bangers and stuff. So where I keep separate sub crates. So if that does happen, so I have already here. So I don't just fly through all of the heavy bangers just at once. So I'm able to now, if we do break it up, now I have another sub crate that where now I can kind of slowly. It is frustrating because now you got to try to get that energy back up. But you know, you'll put out another one, and then you slowly start pulling people back onto the dance floor, and then you kind of get that energy back up again. And then the one thing that I found too is if you have a lot of older people, if you do a couple songs, I mean that just brings them all on the dance floor. That just immediately brings them on the dance floor. And then it's just as soon as I get them on the dance floor, I do that couple song, and I'm off. I'm going now. I ain't giving you a chance to go back to the seat. You just messed up.
but check this out, right? What we're talking about the music aspect, right? And we definitely need to do another topic on it, another discussion on this,
Right?
because I can get really deep into this, and I'm gonna just touch on it right now, because y'all know how I get. But the DJs that are listening right now, I'm about to bust your head to the white meat. If you go to the history folder and you export that playlist, and to help do what Chris is indicating, to build a playlist that you can always go to. I got a playlist from the first time I opened up Serato, and I build on that playlist, on that crate.
Right.
And how I do that is I go into my history folder and I export a particular date where you was in that zone. You go to that date. You export it as an M3U, and then it's going to go to your music folder. I'm talking about on the Mac. It's going to go to your music folder. You're going to look for _Serato_ history, and it's going to be right underneath the history, and you just copy that and drop it into Serato as a crate, and now you have everything that you played on that particular date populated. So then that way you can start building what Chris is indicating. You can start building your bangers, your banger crate, because everything that's in that crate, your banger crate, is a bona fide floor filler. You're not playing no floor clearer. You're playing a floor filler.
Right.
So then you build on that. And over the years, I think mine go all the way back to 2000. Probably about 2008 or 9, somewhere around there, when I first started using Serato. And I just build and build and build. Now I got about, I ain't gonna count how many songs, but it's a big folder, a big crate.
Yep.
And everything in that crate is a hit.
Yep.
Is a hit.
Yep.
And then I have it set up by the BPM, so that as I groove and groom that floor and direct that flow, the ones that get tired start dropping off. And then I know, when I see 3 or 4 people starting to slide off, then I know that I did what I needed to do. Mission accomplished. and then we can go into another genre. And you keep that flow going, and then by the end of the night, people leaving like, damn, it's time to go already. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just to add to what you were just saying, is like, even if it's like, say, if you do it that way, or even if you tag your songs, tag your music, because it depends on the software you use,
right,
you can tag it. And that's what I do, is I tag a lot of my music that I know that's popular. And majority of the time, believe it or not, most of your stuff, and again, it depends on the type of crowd that you have. Majority of the time, the best music is always going to be between that 95 to 105 BPM. And I think that's because it's either going to be that 95 to that 105 BPM, or it's going to be that 120 to that 135. So it depends on the crowd that you're DJing for. Most of the time, and that's why I said, if people learn the BPMs, and then that's why I told people before, it's not about the music itself, it's the BPMs. BPMs is how you control the music. You can easily do country into R&B, country into rock into country, but if
frequency
you know your
and
BPMs,
vibration,
right?
Frequency and vibration.
So it's just one of those things where a lot of DJs, that's just one of those things. But then again, guess what? If you downloaded music from YouTube, you're not going to have all those special things that the record pool puts into the music. So when you upload a song from YouTube up into Serato or any of those other DJ platforms, normally when you go to look at the file, it gives you the key, it gives you all those details about that song. But if you go YouTube, all those files are blank. So again, that's why you go to the record pool, because it gives you that language that the software is looking for when they upload music from the record pools and things of that nature.
Because it had that metadata in there, so that tag information. Because like, for instance, like my radio station, the music that I get from my record pools that I play on my radio station is tagged properly. So depending on what platform you're listening to, if it's Radio Garden, iTunes, or iHeart, or whatever, the name, title of the song, and artist is going to display. But if you get it from YouTube, that metadata is not going to be there.
Right.
It's not going to be there. You might get one every now and then and have it, but you don't want to take that chance of because now you have a corrupt file, and you'll see the lightning bolt on there, and you're like, man, what's wrong with this song? Where'd you get it from?
And then in some cases, that's what causes the system to crash, is because it's looking for sometimes some of that data. And then, I mean, that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that when you're pulling stuff that's off of YouTube, believe it or not, it can sometimes cause your system to crash, because it depends on YouTube files, but it depends on how you download it. It gives you this long file name. And when it gives you a long file name, it confuses the software to where the software will crash because just because the file name is too long.
Because see, what happens is somebody takes a song, let's say somebody that does beats, up and coming artist. Anybody can upload a video on YouTube if you have the right account. And they do some stuff with Fruity Loops, throw some tracks on top of it, and then you put it up on YouTube. And they listen to that track as they made it through their headphones, and not through a process that a regular song would go through. So the sound quality is not going to be there. Fruity Loops is going to give you, like, I think it's either 78 or 98. It may have improved now, but when it renders, if the bit rate isn't 320, which is pretty much the standard now, it's going to sound crappy. It's going to sound real crappy, and it might embarrass you.
So, but I think, look, we don't beat up on that one so bad. I'm like, we're beating down these subjects, boy. Now we're beating them down bad. And I know we're coming.
I want to go back, double back on two quick things.
Okay.
The Marcella was asking about the playlist. Now the playlist, and I think Marcella, I think I responded to something you had put up a few days ago about a playlist. I pretty much can convert a playlist from pretty much any platform from one to one to another. But in terms of what we do as DJs for our clients, Chris, you use DJ Planner, I use Bibo. And Mario, I forget which one that you use, but those playlists that I use with Bibo is I create an M3U and I drop it into Serato. So then that way I have every song that that client wants to be played, and I have it in BPM order. So with Serato, once you play a song, you can have it where it'll turn a different color to indicate that you have already played it and you're not playing the same stuff over and over and over
Right.
accidentally. But I just wanted to bring that point up. Then the next thing was, Chris, you guys were talking about a trailer. Now, for guys that have trailers, that ball and that nut, let me get my hand, that nut underneath, take it to a weld shop and have them weld a couple beads on there. Because all somebody need to do to steal your trailer with a impact wrench. About 5 seconds, that nut is gone. All they got to do is lift that trailer up and pivot it and put it on their vehicle. Your trailer's gone.
Right.
Your trailer's gone.
Mine got an alarm on it, so they're gonna be going down the road with the alarm going off.
And then also, like I said,
Yeah,
one of the
that
things
too.
now with
Yeah.
AirTag, I also put
That
the
one
Apple
too.
AirTag
Yep.
mount the air mount, because what I do is I don't, even though I have a lock on the bolt, I also put that boot on the tire.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
if I know if I'm going to a place that I'm not familiar with, I'm putting 2 boots on each tire, because
Right.
some places got to the point where they bring a spare tire and just take the tire off of the boot
Tire
and,
off. Right.
and switch it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So I said my time. I said it most of the time. If they steal my tire, if they get my trailer, they work hard to get it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh yeah.
so I'm gonna quickly switch over to the next question that was
Thank
asked from last show.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to see if we can cover this one real quick. And the question was, okay, we already covered the software. We talked about that. We talked about the music selection, equipment.
Okay.
This is one of the things that and I guess we could talk all day about this one, but we're gonna try to see if we can do this one kind of quick. But like when we started as DJs, I'm gonna say this real quick, and then I'm gonna pass it on to the two of you. When we started as DJs, the number one thing that I learned was, if you don't take time to listen to the DJs, you're gonna spend a lot of money on all the wrong equipment.
Yeah.
I learned that when I heard the word uplighting. Once upon a time, I had someone ask me when I first started uplighting, and I had no idea what uplighting was. I was like, okay, so I went and looked it up, and all it was a bunch of lights going up the wall. So I thought, oh, okay, so it's like taking a bunch of flashlights and just going up the wall. That was my first thought process. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, okay, so I went out, did research, and first thing I do is I find this crate of lights you can get for $800. I buy the lights, not knowing anything about the beam, how powerful the beam has to be for it to go all the way to the ceiling. None of that. So I did not know that until, again, like I said, I met Hutch, and then I met Nate, and they kind of gave me a better understanding. So by that point in time, I had wasted, again, almost close to $1,200 on light. I mean, the first one was $800, then I wound up buying $400 more, which again, it was the park hands, which they worked. But then, like I said, I found out when it came time to learn how to DMX them, oh, that didn't work out too well. So I had to buy more. I had to spend more money on more lighting. Mm-hmm. So a lot of, like I will say this to DJs, is that you need to take time to do your homework. Listen to other DJs. If the other DJs have been in the business for quite some time, it's crucial that you listen to them, because they're going to save you a lot of money if you listen to them. I know my thing was, I spent a lot of money on the wrong speakers, uplighting, the controller. He says, yep. And then, like I said, Nate, he says, yes. Yep, so I have a brother named Nate for the last 20 years. And I mean, I'm telling you, you talk to DJs that have been in the business for a while, that have the full package deal, and you ask questions. It's just like, you don't run out and buy something just because you hear somebody say it. And then, like, sometimes the speaker systems, I'm telling you, I've spent a lot of money on bad speakers. a lot of money on bad speakers. If I would have known what I know now, I would have invested in the right speakers, paid a little extra money to get the right speakers. And
Yeah.
I mean, God knows. I mean, I look back, went through the Radio Shack brand. I went through the what's it, that German brand, that Hammerstring or whatever.
Hamburger.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
the Guitar Center puts out front. So as soon as you walk in,
Yep.
the price jumps out at you.
Yep.
So
Hard banger,
I mean,
hardly bang.
Harley Bang. I mean, and that's one of the things. And then before you purchase stuff, like I know, like Chris, I know you talk about this quite a bit, is the warranties. The like Hutch, you talk about this as well. Is that the where is it going to go if I have to get it repaired? Those are crucial things. I mean, it's like you don't want to find out after the fact, because then you're going to spend probably in some cases a lot more money just to get it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless if it has a warranty or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is something. That's just a quick version of mine. So I'm like, Hutch, what do you have to say about equipment?
Do your research and listen to other DJs that have been in the game for a while and that have can validate some things that you might have a question or two on, like what kind of speakers should I get? Well, what kind of DJing are you doing? Are you doing clubs? Are you doing private parties? Are you doing weddings? So that's going to determine what kind of sound system that you're going to need. So you want a versatile sound system that you can use on multiple different applications. I would recommend, depending on your budget as well. QSE is a good brand. RCF is a good brand. LD is a new brand, is awesome. I have 2 systems. They are off the chain. I believe they're made in Germany. And what is the other one? QSC. And EV, I had bought the EV. They get hot too quick and shut down on you. Maybe they've improved that, but you got to look for ventilation. If it's DSP, does it have an internal fan? Is it Bluetooth? Because Bluetooth is the thing now. Now with Bluetooth, one of the improvements that I can envision down the road is the ability to have Bluetooth speakers paired together. Now you can only use one Bluetooth at a time. When they get it to it where they can pair it, so you can have like a LD system and you can Bluetooth and they can communicate with one another, that's going to be a game changer.
Well, the Bose
That's
speakers have that. That's what the Bose speakers has, that capability.
Okay. And that's a game changer, because if you don't have that ability to remote sound your speakers with a wireless type of, whether it's the Sennheiser, in my opinion, from what I've used, is about the best one out there, and Alto. Alto has stepped their game up. And then you can go on Amazon and buy some other type of wireless devices, but some of those might be line of sight. And if it's line of sight, if somebody walks in front of that speaker, you're gonna get that white noise.
That's that remix.
Yeah, Ron put up PV. Yeah, PV. PV. I have not really checked into the PV powered speakers, but PV was the speaker to have back when they were doing the passive, the SP series. And then the 800 PV 800 amps, we call them bricks, whatever. But that's the passive side. So now we are into the active sound reinforcement, because that's what it is. It's sound reinforcement. You can easily add to it, and you can easily divide and separate and spread and do all. It's so versatile, and sometimes you can get a system that are battery operated, which is good for weddings. So if you plan on doing a lot of weddings, get you some battery operated speakers, and you don't have to worry about a generator, because most battery powered speakers are Bluetooth as well. And boom. And to one last thing, and I'm gonna pass the mic. Get you an iPad or a tablet. It's imperative for a DJ to have one or the other, because that's going to help you step your game up tremendously. I'll rest.
All right, Chris, tear it up. Chris, tear it up.
That's a hard act to follow. Honestly,
man.
you pay for what you get. If the speaker, the price is attractive, then know there's something there, right? So if the speaker is $300, you're probably gonna get a $300 speaker. It's $300 for a reason. Same thing with anything you buy as far as equipment. Just like you guys have said, when I first got into the game, these platforms that we have now, like this podcast, and I do a podcast as well, trying to educate DJs and strengthen our industry, they weren't around, so it was a lot of trial and error. When I tell DJs what I have invested in the game right now, I mean, it's mind blowing. And they look at me like, "Are you crazy? Are you smoking crack?" And I'm like, "No, I just didn't know." So I made bad investments, and I paid for it, literally. and we're trying to prevent that to other DJs. So American Music Supply, ZZ Sounds, Sweetwater, they all have payment plans. I get it. None of us want to be on payment plans. But if you take a payment plan for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever you can afford, and you get a better speaker, in the long run, it's going to help you. So, same with uplighting. When I got my uplighting, their battery, but I didn't do the research and I didn't get the wireless DMX as well. So now I had to go back and I had to buy the wireless transmitter. So now not only am I paying the same amount for the battery or the speaker, the uplight, now the wireless transmitter, and then the DMX cable to connect them. Now I'm also paying with time that I have to set them up, so you're going to pay, so do your due diligence, find platforms like this, educate yourself, reach out to other DJs. Just like you said, he's been DJing for 40 years. So,
right.
He has experience. Reach out to him, ask him.
Yeah.
And don't use the crutch of, I don't have the budget, because we find the budget for what we want. Again, if it takes you to slow down, then slow down.
Right.
You can go rock a party with 2 good speakers in your controller, and if you network with other DJs, I'm sure we have spare lights that we don't mind, that we probably don't even use. I know I have lights that I don't use, that I'll be like, here you go. It might not be the Gobo lights, because I use my Gobo lights and I use my Wash FX. Granted, I know a lot of the higher end DJs, they frown upon your gig bar, whatever. If the client likes it and it gets the job done, I say use it. So if you're starting out and you need to use a gig bar, use it, but I suggest for you to get the quality. And then if you need to use my gig bar, then come use it. Just don't tear it up. That's all I ask you, because the gig bar does have its place, birthday parties, all this stuff. So, for my packages, I use my totems and Gobos and Wash FX. So, but that's my advice, is, don't hurt yourself in the short run for price.
Let me ask this question, and I think we're all going to probably agree with this one. But what should be the number one priority for a DJ getting started? I know for me, I say speakers.
So for me, it's a 2-part, right? So to me, it's speakers, and then something like he said, if you get an iPad, something that captures social media. So that is my crutch. I hate social media, right? And so that was a big thing for me, this past year and moving into this year. And that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast and started doing, this aspect of it, is to get more in front of the camera, social media, because I just hate social media. I hate being on camera. I hate doing all this. So that was a barrier that I had to pass, right? So you have to have quality speakers, and you have to have, of course, like you said, music and your controller or whatever, your computer to get the music to the speaker. But then you have to have some kind of way to let the client know what you're doing, because word of mouth goes a long way, but they want to see the product as well. So you need to capture that. So my next step now is I need to start doing videos. So I think, to me, like I said, it's kind of like a two-step process for me.
I would say motivation.
So we're talking now. What I'm saying is equipment. We're talking about equipment now.
Oh, equipment.
That's why I say when I say Ron said music, I was like, okay, we know that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking more so when we say equipment.
I would say speakers too.
What's the primary thing that we should get? What's the first thing our DJ should be focused on when we're dealing with equipment?
Sound. Because nothing works without sound. Period. It's got to be sound. You can have all the music in the world. You can have the most fanciest controller out there. But if you don't have speakers, it does you no good. Serves no purpose. So speakers, sound.
So the money that you should really invest in are your speakers, because, like I said, without anything else, that's why I said speakers, because like me, that quality, if you don't get the right speakers, and trust me, going from Radio Shack to Bose, there's a major difference. I mean, I even have QSCs as well, because you hear a big difference when you go from cheap speakers to speakers that are the LDs. That's something that's crucial, or is the actual equipment and speakers.
See, I want that 44 G2. Sorry, Mario.
And see, Chris, y'all just don't know. Chris got a warehouse in Goldsboro. He's trying to take over the world with his collection of
I might have to come hire you, man, for some sound reinforcement with my damn self.
I had to have the proper clearance to walk into his warehouse to get equipment.
Hey, he just hyped me up.
I walked up in there. I didn't know where I was at. I mean, he got stuff that he controlled with his cell phone. We walked in. He pushed a button on his cell phone. The equipment just comes out and sets up. I'm like, whoa! You're like a transformer.
Welcome to the ultimate DJ experience.
I'm like, wow. I say, do they know about this in Goldsboro?
DJ Ultimate.
Wow! It blew my mind away.
Oh man.
But hey, Ron and I used to do mix shows together, man, at 104.5. That's where I met Ron at. Yeah, so we go back, man. Woo! Dang, man, that was back in 2010.
Ooh, y'all telling y'all age.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why I said, that's why I tell people all the time is that with like DJs like Hutch and Nate, they were, if you ask them questions, they will give answers. There's a lot of DJs out there that will be happy to share their knowledge.
I have no problem. I love it. As you can see, I can get long-winded too. I love it.
It says, Brian says, I have paid PV $300, but I can't stand next to any DJ. Huh?
He said, but he can stand next. He said they can compare.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I read it wrong. Okay. So, but that equipment. And then I think the last question, I overlooked this one, was the cost of a DJ. And this question is, when do you know when you change your costs? Like, when do you like at what point in time do you run a DBX?
Drive rack or the go rack?
That's what as soon as he saw, I knew exactly what, because that's what Hutch, you told me about that. But one of the questions they're asking is, when should a DJ make their transition in costs?
When the demand needs it, when that demand drives it. So,
see, go ahead. Chris.
Oh no, I was just gonna say when that demand drives it. So, kind of what I was telling another individual yesterday was, right now, if your demand right now is only requiring you to have enough equipment for a reception, then have that equipment. Now, once your demand grows and you need to have the equipment to cover something else, then that's when you start buying it. Because once you start buying equipment to go do a big concert, now
The
you're
price
at a
got to
big
go up.
deficit, right? And
Right.
you might not be able to actually, you might not be ready to cover that concert yet. So you have all this equipment and your price is at this concert level, but you can't perform at that concert level.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And
So
so
you're
that,
coming in with a bunch of noise and you know, you can't mix. You don't know how to play. So you have to be comfortable with whatever price you want to charge. You have to be comfortable with that.
right.
And being comfortable with that means knowing your worth. If you feel like you are a $5,000 DJ, then you charge $5,000. But know this, you need to come like you got $5,000 worth of knowledge too,
Right.
because that $5,000 fee could make or break you.
Right.
Meaning that if you don't put up, that word is going to get out quicker that you jacked up than it was that you were a good DJ. When your mom say your system don't sound good, the next thing. All right, Ron.
But see, I think what I did was I took it one step farther and I put this little presentation together. And I mean, with three of us, we can kind of adjust this because this was just something I was trying to help another DJ out with pricing. And so I came up with this presentation and I'm going to run through it real quick and then we're going to get out of here because we're hitting 2 hours now. So, so I'm going to hit this real fast. Share the screen. Okay. So I did finally find it. It took me forever, but I finally found it.
That's the pricing chart.
Huh?
Okay, yeah, never mind. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
The DJ price, the DJ cost. Okay, so the one way of how you can break it down, and I mean, and we can, when I go to the slides, y'all can agree, disagree, or y'all can kind of like let me know which way to go with it. But one of the things that I stress to people is first thing first is what's the number one thing that affects our costs?
Economy.
Yep.
Okay, economy, time, location. Those are all different things. Whoa, what just happened? Uh-oh. Y'all still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, hold on. My screen just went crazy on me. Okay. Are y'all still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, I for a minute there, I thought I was going crazy there because my screen started flickering. I thought the boogeyman was gonna get me. Here we go. I'm back in the. I don't know the thing. I hit a button, that thing just started going crazy. Okay. Now, one of the first things I broke down is when we do events. Okay, there's two types of events that changes our time. We have our regular events, which normally a regular event is what, an 8-hour day.
Right.
Would y'all kind of agree with that? So we're looking at 2
Yeah,
hours
on
for
average.
setup, 4 hours of entertainment, and maybe 2 hours for breakdown. So we're looking at an 8-hour day.
On the day of the event.
For a
Yeah.
wedding,
Right.
for a regular event, for a wedding, it's going to be kind of close to 11-hour day.
Mm-hmm.
11
Now-
to 12, yep.
The per hour is what do you think you're worth per hour? This is where you take into consideration your experience, your capability. This is you as a DJ. If you
Right.
think you are that type of DJ that deserves $100 an hour, then so be it. If you just think you're that, now keep in mind this is just one portion of the equation. This is not the full cost. This is just a portion of it.
Right.
So
Right.
this is based off experience. So let's say if I'm that DJ and I feel that I feel like I'm a $50 DJ per hour, then guess what? That's what I'm gonna charge. So then for a regular, just for my experience, if I'm charging $50 an hour, it's $400. And then for a wedding, that's $550.
Mhm.
Now that's the first portion of the formula. The next is your equipment. how much equipment are you going to use for that event?
Mhm.
And if you are big on rebuilding your actual like keeping your equipment up to par, updating your part, you're going to take a percentage of your equipment and you're going to put it into the factory. So let's say, for example, if I take a 2%, and I use 2% because that's a real low number, but if I take 2% of my costs, if I'm using $15,000 worth of equipment, and I want to put back money, invest money back into my equipment, then that's going to give me, let's say, $300 for general event, and then $400 for a wedding. Because we're going to spend, like, most of the equipment that we have is roughly $1,500, and then weddings is going to go up to $20,000. I said 1,500, 15,000. Sorry. So that's the equipment. So now we have our experience, and we have a formula for our equipment. Y'all with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then the next and final portion of it is you're going to put together your two together to come up with your package. So here, based off of my experience, my basic package should be $700, and my wedding package should be $950. And that's based off of my experience, my time, and my equipment. This gives you an idea on how fast you want to rebuild or build your company. Now, if you want to build your equipment, let's say if you want to go crazy with equipment, then you raise up your percentage of your equipment. If you don't have, like, say, so for example, if I don't have the experience, then okay, I'll drop down to $25 an hour as a DJ, but then I want to build up my equipment, my percentage of my equipment should go up.
Right.
And that will control how you come up with your numbers for your DJ. Kind of easy and simple, right?
Yep.
So,
simple math.
So most of the time when and DJs have to understand that when you sit down and if you want to come up with your own math, and I mean, if people want to use this, I'll post this so people can use this. But like most of the time is a DJ experience is what changes the price. The equipment is you start to grow, that's going to automatically start to change your price as well. So your experience and your equipment. Now, the only consistent thing that stays the same is the time. Your timing is going to pretty much stay the same. But like here, for example, if you look at speakers, if I got $5,000 worth of speakers, that's a lot. That's a lot of money in speakers, which is about normal, right? So those are things that, I mean, just a quick way for people to, if you're trying to calculate time, I mean, because like I know the question was, why are DJs, why is everything different as far as the cost, this and so forth? And I said there was no, to me, this was probably the best way to break it down to people is you're going to pay for their time, you're going to pay for their experience, and you're going to pay for their equipment. And those numbers all come together.
Right. Yep.
So what are y'all thoughts on this?
That's spot on.
Basic. Yeah.
So I mean, this is just one of those things to where I know like a few other DJs were talking about this, and I'm gonna share this because I just like when if I can't justify the cost, I'm not gonna charge it.
Right.
I have to be right with self before I can go to another person, look them in their face, and say, "Hey, you're gonna pay me $5,000."
Right.
And that's something that people have to understand is that okay. And then, like I said, think about it. Who in this world gets paid $50 an hour? I mean, even this is technically, I mean, this is kind of like if you're kind of like a midterm, like you've been in the business for a second or something like that. But how many other jobs do you know get paid $50 an hour?
Maybe a nurse. That's about it.
Because most everybody else, and that's why I try to explain to people that when you sit down and you do the math, it actually makes sense on what you charge. So like here, if you're just a beginning DJ, how much you think a beginning DJ should get paid?
For what? Man. Just a simple wedding ceremony.
Just like let's say the time, like for experience. for experience, if you're just starting, how much you think a beginning DJ should get paid?
I'm not even gonna go there.
I guess so. You gotta got two different levels of a beginning DJ. So like we know one knows how to DJ. So like skill wise, he is there skill wise, right?
Right.
Just does not have FaceTime with the crowd. And then you have one who doesn't have skill and no FaceTime. So then their beginning is going to be different. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's going to be subjective on where you're beginning at. If you have, no real skill, no FaceTime with the crowd, of course, that's going to be scary.
But see, I think that if a DJ starts at $15 an hour,
right,
does that sound reasonable?
That's a little bit more than minimum wage.
Right.
Well, it's double minimum wage.
Right.
But see, I don't want to equate that with standard pay. Now, for instance, what would a beginning wedding planner charge? What would people that's in our industry, a beginning photographer? Because on average, a photographer is going to make about $700 to $900, start about $700 an hour. I mean, not an hour, an event.
Right.
And they're only there. They're not there as long. The DJ is there the longest.
Right.
And the most important.
Most of the time, and the reason why I say that is most of the time, a DJ, and we all know the club DJ is the one that gets paid the less in the whole industry. They're the ones that make the less money. When you take a DJ, and that DJ has to show up with a laptop, and I'm going to use a skating rink for a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
A starting DJ at the skating rink makes about $10 an hour.
Okay,
and
I can see that.
Because they're in most cases, and the reason why I say that is that I'm trained. I'm in the process. I've actually trained some, and in the process of training some DJs. Most DJs that start off, all they have to do is show up. The equipment is already present for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting at $10. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be some training, just like you have DJ companies. You go to a DJ company, they're going to train you. And most of the time, those DJ companies are only paying DJs $10 to $15 an hour. They have no equipment and have really very little experience. Right. So when the actual DJ breaks away and they're starting their own company, what's like most of the time, what most of the DJs are asking, because they're trying to break away. Now, let's say that they've done a little experience with the skating rink, the bowling alley, the clubs. They did a little bit with the club scene. Now they're going to break away and do their own company. Depends upon how much experience they have is where they go to. But to me, if you're just starting off, I would say between $10 to $15 should be that until you get properly trained and you get familiar with it before you can up your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I see the question Ron is asking, and he actually asks a good question. And for me, I think what makes a good DJ is a DJ who's actually able to arrange music. And I say arrange because not all DJs use controllers. Some use software, some use computers, so I say arrange. I use a controller, so, I beat match and, I don't even say scratch, because scratch is a skill. So I can, somewhat scratch, but I don't even add that into the equation. I just say, if you can arrange music and read the crowd to where you can keep a party going, keep the energy going, and have the guests where they enjoy and make it a good experience. And then mic presence. I don't need you yelling in my ear. I need you to do just enough to where it, again, makes a pleasurable experience for the guests. Be able to organize and conduct if you're doing a wedding. All right, how can you conduct that wedding from point A to B? from B to Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's what makes a good DJ. And then are you able to adapt in situations? Because as we all know, everything don't go right. So when it ain't going right, what do? How do you react? Are you
Mm-hmm.
able to overcome that, or do you succumb to the pressure? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
succumb to the pressure, then you might not need to be in this situation, because there's a lot of situations that can be high stress if you don't know how to react or impromptu something. Because there have been a lot of times where I've had to impromptu for something that I had no control over, or something that another vendor did, and the client had no clue, because I mean, in the quickest second, I swerved and we went somewhere else, and we kept it moving and pushing. You know what I mean? So that, to me, that's what makes a good DJ.
So that's why I say it's like a lot of these DJs that are starting up, they don't know where to begin, but it's really based on their experience. And that's why I always stress to DJs, maybe it's like take a moment to shadow another DJ. Take a moment to go out and experience different types of things, so then you can see what you're dealing with and you can build up your experience.
And even
DJs,
setting up and tearing down.
Yeah.
Right. And because like one of the things is the only way you're going to he did Ron said good response.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. But what's one of the things that people have to understand is that when you experience, you can do it two ways. You can shadow somebody, go to like, I'll tell you it's three ways. You can shadow someone, go to official, which is very rare, but official training, which most DJ companies do offer that. Or you can just do baptized by fire, go out there and just figure it out. I mean, and it's like that baptized by fire. Sometimes I ain't gonna lie. I mean,
that's the best teacher sometimes.
I ain't gonna lie. That's how I did it. I was at the skating rink and was thrown out there one time to get on the turntables and play some music. And I'll never forget. I was in College Park, Georgia, going at Skate Town off of Old National. I got up there and they booed me out of that DJ booth so quick that it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it made me focus on getting better.
Right.
That sometimes getting booed out that first, second, maybe three times will get you to want to improve your process. And so me is I started to do more. I started to practice. I would go in. I would go into the skating rink early just so I can get familiar with the music. It was different things that I was doing to better myself, but I didn't really have someone there to teach me. So as time went on, I developed my own training and my own method. So when it came time for me to be full-time, I felt as though I really needed to. Yes, he runs. People don't do that anymore. Right. And I think that's what it is that it's like in order to up your skill set, he said, "Boo." but that's just, back then, that's how it was. It's like if you weren't good back in the 80s and you was DJing, they'll let you know in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So, but that's just one of the things is that I learned. I learned the hard way, baptized by fire. But now, like you said, there's so many platforms available to where it's like you can build your own experience. But I would say shadow somebody.
Yeah.
Go out with another DJ. I mean, I know right now I have numerous DJs in the past that have, he said, hell yeah. that pretty much I went out and I just shadow, like they'll shadow me and I will let them go. And then I know I was one DJ, he played a lot of underground music. And I said, dude, you can't play underground music because this is not the crowd. This is where you have to read your crowd. But that was his way of learning that, okay, he might have come up playing underground music and it was popular for the people he DJed with within his own little circle.
Right.
But once you step outside your comfort zone, now you got to understand how to read the crowd. You have to understand your BPMs. You got to understand how your software works and how your computers connect to your controller or your MacBook and how everything connects. It's just like a lot of DJs, believe it or not, don't understand how to properly connect their speaker systems.
Right.
True.
They don't understand how to properly wire their equipment to make it work right.
Right.
True.
So those are things that, like shadowing a DJ, a professional DJ, you'll learn quite a bit. You'll learn a lot within 1 or 2 nights than you will trying to learn on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, but this was, like I said, this was just a quick reference to answer that question. I know we've been on here for almost going on 2 hours and 30 minutes. I know we could go forever and ever and ever, but I did want to touch bases with all the questions that were asked from last show after we got off. And that was something I just that cost thing, it keeps coming up. The cost thing for DJs, I'm seeing it a lot more within this last year than I've ever have since I've been in business for the last 10 years full time. So I just really want to stress that to everybody. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and do our closing out. And Chris, we're going to let you go first because look, we want you. Look, we don't want you to have to follow anything hardcore.
I ain't saying nothing. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Listen, I mean, again, platforms like this, love it. I love it. You know, there's a lot of information that's passed around and shared that you can learn from and pick up if you want it. You know, so I mean, be a sponge and take in it all.
Indeed.
Hutch?
I'm pretty much quiet right now. You know, appreciate you, providing this opportunity, man, for us to get up here, man, and have these roundtables, man, spreading this knowledge and everything, man, because it's a new era.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different atmosphere now, especially for us DJs, because people are looking out and looking up to us, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
And how we govern ourselves and conduct ourselves when we're out and about doing our business, you know, it means a lot to people, because you never know what somebody's going through. And that's one of the great things about being a DJ is having that ability to brighten someone's day. And, you know, when you have that ability, man, to put a smile on somebody because they may have lost a loved one, they may have gotten a new promotion or something, they want to celebrate. You know, they want to have a good time. They don't want to have to worry about if the DJ going to be able to keep us on the floor. You know, just be at ease with be comfortable with yourself, and then it'll radiate out. And over time, it works out for everybody. Ron, hit me up later, man, because I don't have your number, man.
I got you. Look, I'm already one step ahead of you. I'm about to hit Ron right now because Ron, you have been doing an outstanding job with the feedback and the information, and we definitely got to get you on the show. Let me see something real quick. I'm gonna try to do something real fast. Ron, check your inbox, hit that link and jump on here real quick. So we're gonna let you. I'm gonna let you jump in right now, but we're gonna definitely get you in for the next show as well. But if you could just hit that link real quick that I just inboxed you, and if you're on a cell phone or on your computer, if you have a video camera, either or, just use that to jump on there real fast. But yeah, we're gonna bring you in.
Yeah, me and Ron go way back, man. Man, I didn't even realize.
I'm over here been dying at a lot of these things. I'm sitting here like some of them I didn't get a chance to post all of them because he was like a machine gun, like da 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 da. I'm crossing my head going back. That's why y'all see me going back and forth. I'm up here keeping up with all the comments and everything. And that's why I said the biggest piece is, like I said, this platform I think will be extremely helpful. Not only just for DJs, but also for the customer.
True. Yeah.
We really have to take time to educate. And this is one of the things I've learned over the years is that the more time we take to properly educate our customers, our pretty much take care of our industry. That's the biggest piece to me, is taking care of our industry, because right now, if we don't police up our industry and we don't educate people on their industry, we're going to be replaced.
Right.
And technology is going to
AI.
step in,
Yeah.
and it's going to take over what we do. And I think that's why it's like you have to, like, that dollar amount that we want to put behind our name, we have to explain why. We have to take time to get people to understand this is the reason why you're paying us this amount of money. We
Right.
are going to take your event and make it 3 times better than what you think it ever can be. But the thing is, they have to understand getting the right DJ is the only ones that can do that. You can't do that with a Spotify playlist hooked up to an iPhone. You can't do it with a DJ that shows up with 2 home speakers. And it's like, so you have to educate them on what right looks like.
Not only does it educate the client, but you might also have some venues and vendors that maybe have a blind spot and they don't know this, so now it kind of educates them. Because like I said, a lot of times they come out like we're coming off as prima donnas, when in this actuality there's legitimate concerns or reasons why we say what we say or some things. Because like you said, dream work makes the team work.
Right. And I think that's why I said the more DJs we get out here that like, it doesn't see, to me, this is one of all the DJs understand. You don't have to have a lot of experience to jump on this show and talk. You can talk about where you're at your level, because then some DJs will probably want to understand that beginning level, that midterm level, that full experience level. So it's like there's no right or wrong way as far as like who talks on the show, because you might say something just like I love what the group from Goldsboro DJs. I mean, they're on it. They're asking some really good questions that it needs to be shared with everybody else. So people need to take time to understand that that this platform, and it's not, I know like today is DJs, but this platform is to really police up and assist our industry across the board. So we as DJs don't get put in the wrong corner. We're not parking in between 2 telephone poles and can't move. I mean, it's just all the hardships that we go through is a lot of people don't know what right is.
Right.
They're so used to, hey, well, the other DJ came in and all he had was 2 speakers in a box. And most of the time that's what you hear, a box. They don't even know it's a controller.
Right.
So it's just taking time to really educate them. I'd say Ron said, hold on.
But you got to love it. Because sometimes when we're setting up, we get that every now and then we'll get somebody say, man, you sure are bringing in a lot of equipment, and you ain't brought in but one load.
Right.
And you haven't even did anything. Oh, you're bringing in a lot of equipment. I've even had some people tell me I'm bringing in too much equipment. And then you're setting up, and then you got somebody always one that used to be a DJ. Man, I used to be a DJ back in the day. You ask them, well, what kind of turntables did you have? And they can't remember. They weren't a DJ.
Right. Because back then there was only one type. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there was only one type that was in the mainstream, and that was the Techniques.
There you go.
I mean, and that's like a common thing is, I mean, because even the skate ring I worked in, they had Techniques, even though we had to put a nickel, sometimes a nickel on the top of the needle so it wouldn't jump. But that's because we didn't replace the needle like we were supposed to. But I mean, it just those are the things that we all know. Just like the crayons, a lot of people didn't know that marking your records with crayons were a way of cheating, like the Q points.
Yeah,
Q points and crayons go hand in hand. So that is something you couldn't do that with CDs though. CDs a whole different story. But
one thing I want to say, and I don't want to get a big conversation going because I still got to pack. We're gonna leave, like I said, we're gonna leave out of here about 2:33 in the morning. Try to catch this flight. I've actually had, and this goes back to equipment, quality equipment, and presentation, and so I've actually had clients before they heard me play one lick of sound, one thing. They saw my presentation, they saw my equipment, and they saw how technical I was on how I set up everything and how neat everything was, and they wanted to book me without even hearing me do anything else. Right. And just to top it off, right? but then when I started playing and then how I presented everything, the clarity of the mics, the sound, and then how the party went, just to top it off, I mean, that just was just the deal sealer, you know? So, you know, equipment and presentation and everything does play a major factor. And then, of course, you know, that particular event, you know, everything was aligned just right. So I had the proper spacing in the venue. I had dead sight on the dance floor. I had dead sight on where they were coming in, you know, so everything was just perfect, you know, so everything aligned. I had all of the information from the planning form from the client. Like, it was just perfect. So everything is important. Like, it is all important.
Yeah. And, you know, Chris, that and that makes a big difference, because like when you sit back and you're giving presentations to your customers, I'm gonna say I had a phone call today. It was funny to me, but the customer was serious, and she was like, "Well, I was calling to find out. I don't know what it's called, but do you know how to make the music come together and move smoothly?" So she's breaking it down into terms that is like very basic. So I was like, "Yes, ma'am. I know how to blend the music." I said, "Yeah, I know how to do that." And if I had a 6-hour playlist from Spotify, would you know how to like mix the music up? I don't want you to play it the same way I want it. And I said, "Yes, ma'am. I know how to do that." And so as she started asking questions, I understood right off the bat she has no clue what a DJ is supposed to do. So I continued to listen to what she was saying. And then just it was funny because then she turned around and she sent me a text. "Oh, you MC too?" "Yes, ma'am, I do MC," and so forth. So then a lot of customers lack that educational about what we do. So when we give a full presentation, like how you do, like I know how we all do, like we have software that does some of it. I ain't gonna say all of it, but some of it. But me, I make it mandatory that you guys sit in and listen to me talk for a whole hour before you can sign a contract. And I'm going to break it down to you what I do, because what I do is different than what the next DJ does. So you need to understand this is what you're paying for. And when they sit back and they like, "Oh my gosh, man, I'm getting a great deal," because they now understand the quality and the package that they're getting. And that's what most DJs need to like. Don't get me wrong; it's good of having social media.
You gotta sell yourself,
but you got to know how to sell yourself. You got to learn how to market yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And
because see what happens sometimes, man, you get a radio station DJ that thinks because they work at a radio station that you're supposed to pay them more than better than, or that they're a special kind of status. And some of these guys are nothing but board operators. They sit there and they push knobs all day long, up and down, up and down.
Right.
Some of them don't even have permission to talk on the microphone at the radio station.
Right. I heard it. I heard this. I remember the story you told us.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those things that we have to take time to educate. I know, like next week, I have DJ Young Styles is a skate DJ, and a lot of people, it's just the different things. And we're going to take time out to educate people that the hardest, and I mean, just my belief, the hardest job to do in our industry is to be a skate DJ.
Right.
It's a specific genre of music.
Right. And it's hard to get that music. But I was waiting on, I think what you call it, Ron said he's running into some problems. So we're going I was trying to give him some time to get it fixed, but we're gonna go ahead and end this because the guy knows we're going on 2 hours and 30, going on 2 hours and 40 minutes. And we don't want Chris to miss his plane because we need him to come back to his warehouse of equipment and make sure nobody's trying to hack us. We might get a warhead or something coming off. But again, I want to all those people that tune in. Ron, look, we're gonna take care of you because we're gonna definitely get you on the next one. Now I'm gonna make sure I say this correctly this time because I think I put out some bad info last time. Are we gonna shoot for Wednesday or we're gonna shoot for Friday? What works best for you?
I'll say Wednesday.
I would say Wednesday works best for me because actually no, because I got a whole nother week. So So either Wednesday worked fine for me.
Okay.
Okay, Ron. Oh,
Wednesday.
Ron, did you? Okay, wait a minute. Ron, did you jump in? Did you try to use the link? I inboxed you the link. Did you click on it? He says I'm here. So he says I'm good. Okay. So we'll definitely, Ron, we definitely get you on the next one. So right now, just so everyone knows, Wednesday. You wait a minute, I say, Chris, what'd you just say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Wednesday work. I got a whole another week.
We're gonna shoot for Wednesday at 6:00, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna continue to keep talking about things that affect us as DJs in 2023. And Ron, we're definitely going to, like I said, take time out. I know Hutch said you're gonna talk. You're gonna like, hey, if you need help, let us know. We're gonna get you ready for next time, so you can.
I need your number, Ron.
Say again.
I need Ron's number.
Okay.
If he has mine, hit me up.
Ryan, shoot inbox Hutch your number real quick. So then he has your number, and we're gonna make sure you're good to go for our next show on Wednesday. All right, look, y'all be safe. Have a great weekend, Chris. Be safe on that plane.
Yes, sir.
Don't let them know who you are because they might try to kidnap you.
They're gonna be disappointed.
All right.
All right, then look, y'all take it easy, and I'll see y'all next time. Look, we're gonna go backstage real quick, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Okay.
All right, ending broadcast. All right, everyone. See y'all next time.
See you all next week.